Chapter 1. On the East Gate Tower of the imperial capital of the Great Dragon Dynasty. Great General Yu Ming looked solemnly at the soldiers who had suffered heavy casualties. His face was filled with grief and indignation. Seeing Yu Ming coming over, many soldiers struggled to stand up. Many of them were confused. The city they were guarding had been besieged for a month. As the imperial capital, there were no crops or large water sources in the city. However, it had to feed millions of people. In this month, other than the war horses, all the livestock had been killed. They could barely hold on for a month and could no longer hold on. Yesterday, they heard news that the 36 provinces and 46 cities of the Great Dragon Dynasty had all surrendered to Great Eunuch Wangzhong. They could not figure it out. They really could not figure it out. Even a blind person could see that the Great Dragon Dynasty was gone. The Crown Prince had been captured. Why was General Yu Ming still guarding this ownerless imperial capital? Wasn't it good to surrender? Wasn't it good to live? Half a year ago, the late emperor passed away. The various provinces rebelled. Great Eunuch Wangzhong took advantage of the chaos to control the emperor and order the vassals. After that, 36 provinces and 46 great cities all succumbed to Wangzhong. Now, other than us, he no longer has any opponents. Yu Ming said word by word. He held the saber at his waist tightly with his right hand and said in a deep voice, "This is a disgrace to the empire. I, Yu Ming, will not surrender." Many of the soldiers felt their hearts tighten as grief emerged on their faces. If they did not surrender, they would have to continue fighting. If they continued to fight, they would have to face Wangzhong's forces. It was no different from suicide. However, none of the soldiers said no, because they respected Yu Ming. "Although I won't surrender, you can." After saying that, he turned his head and looked at the city gate tower in the distance. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers stood in the distance opposite the moat. The black mass of people stretched as far as the eye could see. Even he was envious of the uniformed troops. This was a brave army. This was an army that had never been defeated. This was an army that strictly adhered to discipline. Unfortunately, this was not his army, but his enemy, Wangzhong's. "Wangzhong, although you are a eunuch, I admire you for being able to train such an army. Unfortunately, a loyal subject does not serve two masters. You and I will always be enemies," Yu Ming said softly as he looked at the letter in his hand. This letter had been sent over by Wangzhong. The contents were extremely simple, stating that Wangzhong would unconditionally surrender, and that he would spare the lives of all of the soldiers within the city. If not, he would attack the city the next morning. At that time, all of the soldiers would be killed, including their family members and even their dogs. "General, I won't surrender either," the guard behind him said emotionally. "I vow to live and die with the general." Another corporal knelt on the ground and pledged his loyalty. "We swear to live and die with the general." More people half knelt on the ground. Yu Ming smiled. However, he shook his head and reprimanded. "You all must surrender. This is an order. Open the city gates. I will personally face the battle. The rest of you, put down your weapons. You are not allowed to make a move. Anyone who disobeys will be executed." Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what to do. "This is my last order," Yu Ming shouted in a deep voice. The 8 soldiers guarding the city gate did not dare to disobey. They began to lower the ropes on the gate. Clang! The heavy iron gate fell forward, making a loud noise. Yu Ming walked down the city gate and got on his horse. He shouted, "Great Dragon Dynasty's city guards, General Yu Ming accepts the battle. Who dares to fight with me?" Yu Ming did not show any fear in the face of the black mass of soldiers. In front of this group of disciplined soldiers, there was a huge, protruding grandstand. There were only 2 chairs on the grandstand, one big and one small. Sitting on the big chair was a man in armor. He looked to be in his 50s. However, his eyes did not show any signs of aging. Instead, they were as sharp as an eagle's. He was the great eunuch Wangzhong, who was said to be vicious and merciless. He held the crown prince hostage and ordered the vassals around. However, the person sitting beside him was a young man in a dragon robe. He was the current crown prince, Li Un. "Your Highness, what do you think this General Yu Ming is trying to do?" Wang Zhong asked calmly. Although Li Un was the crown prince, when he spoke to Wang Zhong, he did not dare to look directly at Wang Zhong. He lowered his head and replied, "Teacher, General Yu Ming is loyal to the dynasty. He wants to die in battle." "Yes. Do you think this person should be left alive?" "I dare not say. There's nothing to be afraid of. The reason I'm sweeping away all the factions in the world is to pave the way for you to ascend the throne." A sharp light flashed in Wang Zhong's eyes. Although the Great Dragon Dynasty is big, it's also because of its size that some people who are far away from the emperor take advantage of the situation. This time, after sweeping away all these factions, it's clear who is loyal, who is rebellious, and who is a fence-sitter. It's also training the dynasty's army, killing many birds with one stone. Li Un was a little excited. He remembered that when he was very young, Wang Zhong secretly controlled the palace as a eunuch. After that, he became his teacher. Every time he secretly told him that he would help him seize the throne and start the Great Dragon Dynasty's golden age. He really learned a lot by being by Wang Zhong's side. Therefore, in his heart, although Wang Zhong was a eunuch, he sincerely treated Wang Zhong as a close relative. Therefore, you should keep a loyal subject, but kill a rebel. Wang Zhong looked at him. "I'm already 57 years old. I don't have much time left. You have to rely on yourself. Remember what I taught you." "I will remember." "Yes." Wang Zhong stood up, walked down the stairs, and mounted his horse. "Master, what do you mean?" Lian asked anxiously. "This Yu Ming is a rare talent. He will be of great use to you. He is someone who will affect the fate of the country. He cannot die." After saying that, Wang Zhong rode his horse to the center of the square. "Eunuch Wang, I didn't expect you to come personally. Aren't you afraid that I will kill you?" Yu Ming pointed his blade at Wang Zhong and shouted, "Everyone in the world has misunderstood me. You've also read the letter I gave you. Do you still think that I'm using the emperor to order his vassals around?" Wang Zhong shouted, "If I wanted to kill you, do you think that I would personally come out? If I wanted to destroy your army, I wouldn't just surround you." As he spoke, Wang Zhong pointed at Lian, who was not far away. "Meet the crown prince." Yu Ming frowned and looked at where Wang Zhong was pointing. At that moment, he believed him. After an incense stick's time, under Yu Ming's lead, the crown prince and Wang Zhong entered the palace. 7 days later, Li unofficially ascended the throne. He was given a new title, King Zhong. It meant that under Wang Zhong's leadership, the Great Dragon Dynasty had been reborn. Wang Zhong was given the title of Prime Minister, and Yu Ming was given the title of Marshal of the Great Dragon Dynasty. In terms of military affairs, under Wang Zhong's suggestion, all the governors of the provinces were not allowed to have their own armies. They were only in charge of the economy and security. Every 3 years, they would be evaluated. If they were not satisfied, they would be replaced. The commander of the garrison would be directly appointed by Lian. In terms of economy, under Wang Zhong's suggestion, they promoted the manure planting method. They used manure to water the land to increase the yield of crops. They also developed various farming tools to make it easier to produce. They built merchant ships and went out to sea to trade with other countries. They also mined coal, iron, and gold to make stronger ironware. They used it to make the newly developed guns and cannons. In terms of knowledge, under Wang Zhong's suggestion, schools for agriculture, chemistry, physics, mathematics, architecture, and so on were established. They abandoned the imperial examination system of the past and instead adopted a 3-year compulsory education system. They nurtured talents from various aspects and launched a vigorous campaign to eliminate illiteracy. It was not that Wang Zhong did not want to use a 9-year compulsory education. It was just that the average lifespan in ancient times was too short. There was a shortage of labor, and it was impossible to spend 9 years learning. 3 years later, Wang Zhong was already 60 years old. Most people in ancient times could not live to this age. Wang Zhong was already considered to have lived a long life. Beside the bed, Lian knelt on the ground and shouted at the imperial doctors, "Trash, you're all trash. Why can't you be cured? What's the point of raising you?" The 18 imperial doctors trembled and did not dare to raise their heads. "Don't blame them. I've already said that I won't live past 60, Wang Zhong said calmly. "But master, it doesn't matter if I die. You're still young. Remember the iron rule I gave you. No matter how poor you are, you can't be poor in education. Technology is the primary productive force. Build a harmonious society and new countryside. The people will only support you if they have enough to eat. Remember to be honest and upright. If a prince breaks the law, he will be punished the same as a commoner. Disciple will remember. Then that's it." Wang Zhong died. A day later, Lian announced that Wang Zhong would be buried in the imperial mausoleum to be revered by future generations. Mission character: Great Dragon Dynasty Eunuch Wang Zhong. Mission objective: to be revered. Completed. Lifespan: 60. Partner: 0. You want to find a partner, but you don't have the ability. Offspring: 0. You don't even have a partner, so don't even think about having offspring. Achievement evaluation: the emperor respects you, the people love you, and the civil and military officials admire you. Reward received: 12,730 experience points. Planet Yellow Earth. Inside, the federal prison. On the only bed in the room, Wang Zhong looked at the system interface in front of him and felt pity. "It's a pity that my lifespan is too short. Otherwise, when the factory is completed, the Great Dragon Dynasty might enter the age of navigation and develop in the direction of modernization. I might even see the first batch of students graduate with modern knowledge. But it doesn't matter. The mission has been completed. I can move my paralyzed body now." Thinking of this, Wang Zhong's calm face finally showed some interest. Looking at the impenetrable prison walls and the hospital, he muttered the words exchange. 10,000 experience points to exchange for Vitality Liquid successful. With the infusion of Vitality Liquid, Wang Zhong found that his paralyzed body had some feeling in his right hand. While feeling this feeling, Wang Zhong shouted, prison guard, what's the matter?" A fully armed prison guard with an explosion-proof gun in his hand walked to the door coldly. "Ask about the time and the specific year." If someone else asked such a question, the prison guard would probably ignore it, but this person was different. The prison guard looked at his watch and said, 21:31, October 7th, 8 p.m. "Wang Zhong, is there anything else?" "Nothing." After speaking, Wang Zhong came to a realization. He had spent 60 years in that world, but only 6 minutes had passed here. "Good. Have a good rest." The prison guard frowned. When he returned to his post, he breathed a sigh of relief. "This lunatic, why did he ask me about the time?" The prison guard couldn't help but recall the information about Wang Zhong in his mind. Prisoner: Wang Zhong, 23 years old. Previous occupation: veterinarian. Claims to be an excellent psychiatrist and surgeon without a license. Nickname: Cold Doctor. Danger level: SSS. Chapter 2. The prison guard frowned when he thought of the letters SSS. SSS represented the highest level of danger here, but he did not think that these 3 S's represented Wang Zhong's danger. He felt that 3 more S's would not be an exaggeration. The reason was simple. It was because he was a cold-faced doctor, a cold-blooded killer. He remembered his colleague saying that the reason Wang Zhong was called the cold-faced doctor was not because he had killed dozens of enemies, but because he did everything expressionlessly. Even when he killed those enemies, Wang Zhong was always calm. His psychiatrist said that the only time he saw Wang Zhong smile was when he saw the corpse of his enemy in a photo. If not for the fact that he was suffering from Lou Gehrig's disease and his body was gradually paralyzed, no one would have been able to catch him. When he turned himself in, no one could believe that the killer who had killed so many people was so gentle and elegant. Phew, fortunately he's sick. Otherwise, it would be really dangerous. The prison guard breathed a sigh of relief, but he did not notice that Wang Zhong, who was lying on the hospital bed, moved his right hand. I can use a scalpel again. I miss the days when I treated patients and saved people. Wang Zhong sighed. He realized that he had underestimated the horror of his Lou Gehrig's disease. After redeeming the life liquid, only his right hand could move. However, he was an optimistic person. He felt that no matter how bad things developed, he would die at most. Since he was not afraid of death, nothing could get worse. Moreover, he had already killed all his enemies. His wish was fulfilled, so he turned himself in. After more than a year, his body gradually became immobile. Other than his eyes and mouth, the rest of his body was completely paralyzed. On the day he was completely paralyzed, which was 1 day ago, a system-like panel appeared in front of him. Detected that the host's mental strength has reached its peak. Activating the Rebirth System game. Rebirth character. Eunuch Wang Zhong. Character profile. Wang Zhong was born in a fishing village in Mingzhou Town, Dalong Dynasty. His parents died in an accident when they went out to sea to fish. At the age of 8, he was sold into the palace by his uncle and became a little eunuch. The tragic experience greatly affected Wang Zhong's body and mind. In the palace, he was looked down upon and bullied. He didn't want to be looked down upon anymore. He wanted to be respected. Mission objective. Be respected by others. Mission completion reward. Random EXP. EXP can be exchanged for items that can modify the body. After reading the content, Wang Zhong wanted to make a surprised expression, but his face was paralyzed. Therefore, he checked the system for a long time and finally confirmed that this game was not an illusion. Then, he entered the game. In the game, other than the fact that he was a eunuch, everything else went smoothly. When he entered the palace, he used his medical knowledge to treat some colds. Then, he gradually gained the appreciation of the chief eunuch, and Dahai. He climbed up the ranks step by step. Finally, he used his modern knowledge to gain the attention of the late emperor. Finally, when the late emperor was seriously ill, he took the opportunity to seize power, suppress the opposition, and secretly raise his own army. In fact, with his power at that time, he could have become an emperor. However, he also knew that if he wanted to be respected, just being an emperor was useless. Instead, he would be cursed behind his back as a treacherous eunuch. After his death, his corpse might even be dragged out and criticized. Therefore, after observing all the sons of the emperor, he felt that Li Un was more malleable and introverted. Therefore, he did his best to help him unify the country and stabilize the world. Ding! Successfully unlocked a new reborn character. Scholar Wang Erping. Mission objective. Let my wife see how powerful I am and admire me. Let my wife see how powerful I am? That's a bit too much information. Wang Zhong thought calmly, but he didn't enter the game. He had stayed in the Great Dragon Dynasty world for too long. He was a bit dazed. It was as if he had really lived for 60 years in that world. At the last moment of his life, he truly felt the arrival of death. Although he was a bit tired, he still looked at the system in front of him. This thing was very strange. As soon as he thought about it, the interface would appear. He had to rely on his consciousness to operate it. System, can I choose other people's lives to complete the mission? Wang Zhong tried to call out to the system, but it didn't respond at all. After looking at the newly unlocked character Wang Erping, he found that the screen was black. This meant that if he wanted to unlock the content, he had to complete the previous missions. Wang Zhong was a person who liked challenges, but he didn't like to deal with women. Women were troublesome. After being single for so long, he still felt comfortable being alone. However, this mission was to let his wife see how powerful he was. Hee hee. Wang Zhong laughed in his heart. His expression was calm and composed, without any ripples. The electrocardiogram in the ward was beeping slowly. In this modern federal country, the death penalty had long been abolished. Therefore, even if he was a serious criminal, he still enjoyed the rights of an ordinary person. At first, Wang Zhong felt that it was a bit sad. He was lying on the bed like a cripple. He couldn't take it anymore. If he had known earlier, he would have killed himself. After sleeping for a while, when he woke up in the morning, he moved his right hand under the blanket. It was very good. He could move his right hand freely. It was just that he hadn't moved for a long time, so his right hand was not as strong as before. Enter the mission. Recover quickly. After resting for a night, Wang Zhong's spirit had recovered. Reborn character. Wang Erping, a scholar character's resume. Wang Erping, born in Zhou Dynasty's Jade Horn village. He later married into the Sun family, but was looked down upon by his wife. Mission objective. Let my wife see how powerful I am and admire me. Loading game, warm tip. Due to the special nature of the mission, you have to marry your wife, Sun Susu. Sigh, so it's like this. Looking at the warm tip, Wang Zhong sighed. This was just like the previous mission where he was a eunuch. Originally, he wanted to take the opportunity to escape. With his abilities, he could live a good life outside. He could also use other means to gain the respect of others. However, the warm tip said that due to the special nature of the mission, he had to enter the palace and become a eunuch. This time it was the same. He had to marry his wife, Sun Susu. In a daze, Wang Zhong felt that he was suddenly surrounded by a layer of water. He kicked his feet with all his might. Following that, he heard a woman shout, "Ah, it hurts so much. Father of my child, I'm going to give birth. Call the midwife over." "Oh, I'll go now. Ah, it hurts so much." The woman cried loudly. Her cries were heart-wrenching. "Baby, stop kicking. Mother is going to be kicked to death by you. Damn it, this time I'm reborn from my mother's womb." Chapter 3. When the midwife and the man returned home, the man immediately knelt on the ground and cried, why did you leave?" "Oh no, hemorrhage." The midwife screamed. Wang Zhong felt a chill run down his spine. He felt strange. After he was born, his mother did not move at all. He wanted to turn his head to take a look, but he was a newborn. He did not have the strength to turn his neck. Suddenly, he felt someone lift him up. He finally saw the whole room. The mother on the bed had her eyes wide open. She had already died from excessive blood loss. "It's all because of you, you evil creature. What use do I have for you?" The man glared at Wang Zhong and slammed him to the ground. "Oh no, this is your son." The midwife screamed, but it was too late to stop him. Wang Zhong felt the world spin around him. Then he was slammed to the ground. F***CK. I died before the game even started. Game over. Wang Zhong woke up from reality. Looking at the 4 cold words in front of him, he wanted to curse. Reincarnated character dies. 500 experience points lost. A notification sounded in his ears. This was Wang Zhong's first death in the game. He did not expect to lose experience points after death. However, it did not matter. What was important was that he died in such a strange way. "It must be because I moved too much in my mother's womb when I was born. I have to be gentler next time." Wang Zhong did not know what would happen if he lost all his experience points. He did not dare to take the risk, so he decided to be careful this time. Besides, this time, he could see that his father had a bad temper. He was the type who would throw him to the ground if he did not agree with him. "Looks like I have to be smarter next time," Wang Zhong thought to himself and entered the game again. Loading game. "Ah, husband, my stomach hurts a little," a woman said gently. Wang Zhong breathed a sigh of relief. Last time, he kicked a few times. His mother said that it hurt. This time, she only said that her stomach hurt. The start was still okay. "Is she going to give birth?" the man asked nervously. "Husband, quickly call the midwife. I think I have a reaction." "Oh, right away." This time, Wang Zhong could guarantee that he did not move at all. In fact, in order not to anger the man, he did not even cry when he was born. "Congratulations, congratulations. You've given birth to a chubby son. Look, I've delivered so many births, and this is the first time I've seen a child not crying when he was born. This child will be amazing in the future." The midwife stared at Wang Zhong in shock. Wang Zhong just stared back at her calmly. The midwife felt goosebumps from being stared at by this child. Let me see. The woman weakly took the child and smiled. He's just a little skinny. Husband, what do you think we should name our son? Sigh, our eldest son, unfortunately died prematurely. This is our second son. We don't wish for him to be rich or noble, but we just wish for him to be safe and sound. Let's call him Wang Erping. Wang Erping, that's a good name. The midwife smiled as she wiped Wang Zhong's body with warm water. A month later, Wang Zhong finally understood his family. Just as he had guessed, his father Wang Quankai was a scholar. However, he had participated in many imperial examinations, but had never passed. These years, he simply did not participate in the imperial examinations. Instead, he opened a private school in the local area to teach the children in the neighborhood. Although this was ancient times and most people were illiterate, the learning atmosphere here was good. Everyone respected scholars. Therefore, the families who sent their children to study here would usually take the initiative to give money to Wang Quankai to pay for his studies. In addition, Wang Quankai and his wife farmed their own fields and raised chickens, ducks, and sheep. Their life was quite prosperous. What made Wang Zhong feel helpless was that his father was very good to everyone except him. He was like an enemy to him. If he disobeyed, he would beat him to death. If Wang Zhong had not been reborn and had good eyesight, he was afraid that even if he had 99 lives, he would have died a long time ago. Only now did he know how his previous son had died. It was most likely that he had been beaten to death. However, Wang Quankai believed that he was right. He often said, "It's the father's fault for not teaching the son well. I beat you because I love you. The fiercer I beat you, the more I care about you. You have to understand. Understand your sister." 2 years passed. There was an adorably dressed child at the entrance of the Wang family's private school. However, this child was a little stunted. He looked like he would be blown away by the wind whenever he walked. This person was naturally Wang Zhong. There was nothing he could do about it. Half a year ago, Wang Zhong had discovered that although he had inherited his face, he was still as handsome and elegant as ever. However, his body was extremely weak, and he often caught colds. If not for Wang Chuansai's good family background, he might have already died from illness. This game is a little more difficult than last time. Although I became a eunuch last time, at least before my parents died, I had a pretty good life. My body is also very good. Especially after that thing was cut off, I'm practically indestructible. Wang Zhong was now considering whether he should have his flesh cut off in the future. It was fine to lose a piece of flesh anyway. However, after thinking about it, he still had to marry Sun Su. He decided to forget about it. He finally made it to the age of 5. During this period, Wang Zhong increased his appetite in order to take care of his body. He was never picky about food. His parents were so happy that they could not close their mouths. Whenever they met someone, they would praise their son for not needing them to take care of him. However, what made Wang Zhong helpless was that even though he ate a lot of food every meal, his body did not improve. There were a few times when he ate too much and had diarrhea for a few days. He was a doctor. Although he was a veterinarian, he had some knowledge about the human body. Therefore, he estimated that he needed to take some Chinese herbs to recuperate. Moreover, he was no longer a 3-year-old child. From the age of 5, he needed to strengthen his body. Therefore, the villagers could often see the Wang family's children running all over the mountains and doing push-ups. Needless to say, after a year of training, Wang Zhong felt that his body was much better. I already said that I have some knowledge about medicine. It's just that I don't have a certificate. At the age of 7, Wang Zhong sat at the door and whispered after he finished training his body. As he spoke, he saw Wang Quankai walking towards him with a machete. "Erping, what's wrong?" Wang Zhong said as he raised his head with a calm expression. This was not because Wang Zhong was deliberately pulling a long face. It was because he did not like to smile. The hatred he had grown up with made his mentality completely different from that of ordinary people. The villagers, including the Wang couple, were used to Wang Zhong's paralyzed face. Wang Quankai said, "I'm going to the county counselor's son's house to teach his son. I might be gone for 7 days. You stay at home with your mother. If you have nothing to do, read more books and be obedient. Do you understand?" "Okay," Wang Zhong said calmly. Wang Quankai nodded with satisfaction. Although this son of his had a paralyzed face, he never had to worry about him. Chapter 4. Wang Quankai left with the axe and some luggage. He had no choice. It was a day's journey from here to the county, and he had to stay outside in the middle of the night. The axe was also for self-defense. After he left, Wang Zhong rested his chin on his hand and pondered. Counselor Sunday. His wife's surname was also Sunday. Did he go to his wife's house? He had been here for 7 years, and there was no news about his wife. He was thinking, what if the other party was a bumpkin? What should he do? In fact, Wang Zhong did some research on the nearby families with the surname Sun. Although there were many families with the surname Sun in the village, there wasn't a girl named Sun Susu. Unable to figure it out, he shook his head and ran back home. His mother, Chun Yu, was making shoes in the house. When she saw Wang Zhong come in, she smiled and said, "Slow down, child. Be careful not to fall." "Mother, is Counselor Sun's house very far?" Wang Zhong asked in a childish voice. "A day's journey. I heard that Counselor Sun's business is very big. He rented hundreds of acres of fertile land and opened many shops in the county. However, Counselor Sun likes scholars and wants his children to study, so he invited your father." Hearing about children, Wang Zhong guessed that his daughter couldn't be Sun Susu, right? He asked his mother, but unfortunately, she didn't know the name of Counselor Sun's daughter. These days, other than exercising, Wang Zhong began to practice martial arts. In the real world, he learned Sanda and boxing to take revenge. He didn't idle around in the Great Dragon Dynasty. After gaining power, he learned some martial arts. Now he had a deep understanding of martial arts. It was a pity that his body was so weak that it was beyond his imagination. His body, which had gradually recovered, became weaker and weaker after practicing martial arts. In the end, Wang Zhong had no choice but to accept reality. This body was very difficult to train, and it was far inferior to the body of the eunuch in the Great Dragon Dynasty. However, this did not matter to Wang Zhong. This world was clearly a world of ordinary people. At his level, he would be able to protect himself when he grew up. Compared to practicing martial arts, Wang Zhong was not interested in studying. The reason was simple, too simple. What he learned was poetry, followed by simple addition and subtraction. There was no need for him to learn it. At most, he would read up on the history of this world. 7 days later, Wang Quankai did not return, but a servant of the Sun family came. As soon as the servant arrived, he nervously entered the room and shouted, "Is it the Wang family?" "Yeah, who are you?" "Chun, you carried Wang Zhong out of the door." "I'm Counselor Sun's servant. Last night, our family encountered a group of horse gang. In the process of fighting, your husband was injured. He is now recuperating in his mansion. I'm afraid he won't be able to come home these days. Come with me to have a look." "Ah." Chun Yu panicked when she heard that. Wang Quankai was the backbone of the family. If something happened to him, the Wang family would collapse. Therefore, she hurriedly packed up her things and led Wang Zhong out the door. This was Wang Zhong's first time going out. After all, he was a child. Even if the soul of an adult was in his body, he could not go far. If he encountered someone bad, with his small body, he would not be able to deal with them. Moreover, the ancient wilderness was not fully developed. There were often cases of wild beasts attacking people. Wang Zhong did not want to be eaten by wild beasts for no reason. On the way, the servant told him what happened the night before. It turned out that the night before, after teaching Counselor Sun's son and daughter poetry, Wang Quankai returned to the room arranged for him by the Sun family to sleep. He did not expect that he would need to go to the toilet, so he went to the toilet. Before he went in, he heard the butler of the Sun family quietly talking to a servant. The content was very simple. It turned out that the butler and the servant actually knew a group of horse gang. They cooperated with each other and prepared to kill everyone in the Sun family at night, when everyone was asleep. Then, naturally, they would rob the Sun family of their property. This immediately scared Wang Quankai to death. After thinking about it, he decided to secretly tell Counselor Sun about this. In fact, he also thought of running away himself. However, he was a scholar after all. How could he be so selfish as to watch Counselor Sun's family die tragically? Therefore, he went to look for Steward Sun and explained the situation to him. Originally, Counselor Sun wanted to immediately report to the authorities. However, Wang Quankai said that if he reported to the authorities, the horse gang would not be caught. At most, they would only catch the butler and the servant. Since they were targeted, the horse gang would definitely find another opportunity. Therefore, he suggested to invite them into the trap and beat them up. Therefore, Counselor Sun did not alert the butler and secretly went to the authorities. He also went to a few good friends' houses and secretly invited some willing people. At night, the horse gang really came. However, they did not expect that as soon as they came in, the authorities and willing people who had been lying in ambush rushed out of the room. The two groups of people instantly fought. Wang Chuansai's shoulder was cut in the chaos. Fortunately, he was treated in time. However, he could not go home for the time being. Therefore, Counselor Sun sent his servant to pick him up. After knowing the cause and effect, Chun Yu breathed a sigh of relief. He held Wang Zhong's hand and hurried on their way. It took a day's journey to the county town. In the middle of the night, the three of them stayed at an inn in the suburbs. However, when they were hurrying in the evening, they just saw the inn's shadow and heard the neighing of horses behind them. I didn't expect to meet the Sun family servant here. This woman and child must be Counselor Sun's family. When the servant saw who came, he was so scared that his face turned pale. Horse gang. He recognized this person as one of the leaders of the horse gang the night before. He later escaped. Haha, my elder brother suffered a great loss at your Sun family's hands last night. If I don't take revenge, I won't be a rich Ma family. Go to hell. As soon as he finished speaking, the man swung his broadsword. Poof! The servant let out a blood-curdling scream as his head was chopped off. Child, run! Chun Yu cried and shouted. Wang Zhong frowned and shouted at the man. Wait a minute. Wang Zhong knew that as a 7-year-old child, he was no match for the man. Even if he ran, he would not be able to outrun the horse gang. He could only think of a way to outsmart them. Boy, what's the matter? We are not from the Sun family. We are from Scala Wang's family in the village up ahead. Haha, it's really a waste of effort to find what you have searched high and low for. This rich Ma family was not very cultured. He said incorrect idioms, raised his broadsword and shouted, Scholar Wang is your father, right? If it wasn't for your father's tip-off last night and ruining our plans, we would have killed all of the Sun family. Since he ruined our plans, I will kill his wife and child today to vent my anger. Don't kill my child. Chun Yu hugged Wang Zhong tightly. With a poof, the broadsword pierced through her back and into the heart of Wang Zhong, who was in Chun Yu's arms. This guy knows that it was my father who tipped them off. Wang Zhong's mind flashed, and then he fell into darkness. Game over. Reborn character dies. 1,000 experience points are lost. Chapter 5. Reincarnated character died. 1,000 experience points dropped. I actually died again. Wang Zhong stared blankly at the panel in front of him. A bandit actually bullied me, a 7-year-old child. Wang Zhong admitted that he was not a good person, but he had a bottom line. Bullying a 7-year-old child and an unarmed woman. How could he be called a hero? Thinking back, he could only blame himself for being unlucky this time. That Ma family also said that it was an accident to meet them. He originally thought that this guy was just looking for trouble with the Sun family, so he reported his name. He did not expect that he was looking for his Wang family for revenge. Moreover, he did not know how this person found out that it was his father who leaked the information. Gotcha. At this time, the prison's iron gate opened. Patient, it's time to take your medicine. a female nurse came in. On. Wang Zhong quickly recovered his mentality and glanced at the nurse who came in. This nurse was the one who had been taking care of him since he came in. She was about 40 years old. Her skin was relatively white, but her face was not round at all. The nurse looked at Wang Zhong with fear and kept encouraging herself in her heart. This murderer is already paralyzed, don't worry. Just feed him the medicine. Just feed him the medicine, and he will be fine. Wang Zhong glanced at her, and in his mind, he could not help but think of the days when he took his revenge. After that experience was exposed, the people in society changed their faces when they heard about him. Even if he was paralyzed, the nurse who fed him the medicine was scared pale. Perhaps this is the murderous aura from killing too many people. It really makes people feel helpless. Wang Zhong thought in his heart. In fact, he did not want others to be afraid of him, but now it was futile no matter how he explained. The bed was gradually shaken up by the nurse, and his whole body was leaning on the bed. After taking the medicine, the nurse carefully fed Wang Zhong breakfast. From the beginning to the end, Wang Zhong did not look at her again, because he was tired of looking at her. Her body still smelled of shampoo, and her hair was still dyed yellow. From the way she walked when she entered the room, she should not have slept with her husband last night, because her walking posture was not like this before. Of course, these were all Wang Zhong's wild guesses. He wasn't that awesome to be able to see through so many people at a glance. This could be considered as a small pastime for him since he had nothing better to do. He even identified all the prison guards outside. Which one of them had encountered a happy event, and which one of them was unhappy. Just like before, the two of them never communicated. Wang Zhong had actually thought of chatting with her, but after he opened his mouth once, the nurse was so scared that she ran out on the spot, so he gave up on the possibility of talking to her. Women were indeed troublesome. This was also the reason why Wang Zhong didn't like women. Of course, he didn't like women in his heart, not because after feeding him, the nurse left as if she was escaping. Sure enough, it was the same as last time. Wang Zhong looked at the electronic clock on the wall. He realized that he had been in the game for 7 years, but the time here had not moved at all. I wonder what it will be like in real life after I enter the game. Gotcha. The door was opened again, and 2 prison guards walked in. Wang Zhong, do you want to go out and bask in the sun for a while? At this time, it was time for the prisoners to go out and bask in the sun. Even though Wang Zhong was paralyzed, he still enjoyed this treatment. No need, Wang Zhong said. Understood. The prison guard nodded. Even though Wang Zhong's danger level was SSS, because he was paralyzed, some of the prison guards liked Wang Zhong because he wasn't as difficult to manage as the other prisoners. After the prison guard left, Wang Zhong's recovered right hand moved a little. He quietly propped himself up on the bed and started to exercise. An hour later, soothing music sounded in the room. This was also a treatment for prisoners. Beautiful music could ease people's frustration, except for violent people. After resting for a while, Wang Zhong felt that it was about time. He said to himself, enter the game. Loading game. Game in progress. Ah, husband, my stomach hurts, the familiar voice sounded again. This time, Wang Zhong was already prepared. It could be said that his experience in the game last time told him that before he and his mother died, all his actions were basically correct. Next, he just had to change his actions on the day he was killed. This was actually not the most important point. Wang Zhong was worried that he only had 1,230 experience points left. In other words, if he died again and his experience points were deducted, what would he do? If I had known, I wouldn't have used up all my experience points so quickly. I'll try not to die this time. Wang Zhong was calmly delivered by the midwife. The midwife said happily, congratulations, congratulations. You gave birth to a fat son. Look, I've delivered so many births, and this is the first time I've seen a child who didn't cry when he was born. This child will be amazing in the future. Time flew. This time, Wang Zhong followed his experience in the game and carried on with his life in an orderly manner. Because he knew what happened later. He found that a lot of things were much more convenient. For example, he knew that his mother, Chun Yu, was bitten by a poisonous snake when he was 3 years old and almost died. He deliberately said that he was not feeling well that day. In the end, Chinyu stayed at home to take care of him and was not bitten by the snake. When he was 4 years old, Wang Zhong originally pretended to go to the neighbors to play and ask about his future wife, Sun Susu. However, because he had asked before, Sun Susu was not in the village, so he was too lazy to go out. "Dad, I heard from Li Dan that the county is very fun. Is it true?" Wang Zhong asked in a childish voice. He knew that his father was in a good mood today because 3 new students had come to the private school. The parents of these 3 students were very polite. Each of them brought an old hen, the kind that could lay an egg every day. Another sent half a bag of mixed grains, enough for their family to eat for 2 months. One of them was even more generous. He brought 2 pieces of pork, the very, very fat kind. In the previous game, Wang Quankai had happily carried him around the village today, and Wang Zhong could still remember it vividly. Oh, of course the county is fun. There are candied haws on the streets and small clay figurines. When it's the Lantern Festival, there are many lanterns. There are so many people that it can't even fit in the crowd. Wang Quankai hugged Wang Zhong and laughed. Chunyu, who was packing the firewood beside them, was gratified. "Ping, why are you asking this?" Li Dan said that it's very fun there. There's also a family with a very big house. I think their surname is Sunday. Li Dan said that their house is bigger than 100 of his. I don't believe him, so I asked. "Yes, that's true. I didn't expect that child to know so much. This counselor's son's family is the richest in the county." As he spoke, he explained to Chinyu, this counselor's son used to have 2 sons, but they were both killed. A few years ago, he took in 2 more concubines, but he never had a son. However, he gave birth to a daughter. I think her name is Xiao. Yes, Sun Susu. Xiao, I finally found you. Chapter 6. Time flew by, and it was finally the year when she was 7 years old. Just as Wang Zhong had guessed, 7 days after his father, Wang Quankai, left, the servants of Steward Sun's family came over. "Is this the Wang family?" the servant asked as soon as he came in. "Yes, who are you?" Chinyu went out the door. "I'm Counselor Sun's servant. Last night, our house was attacked by thieves. During the fight, your husband was injured and is now recuperating at home. I'm afraid he won't be home for a few days. Come with me to take a look." I'll go right away." Chinyu was about to pack up when she suddenly slapped her thigh. "Oh, Erping, why isn't he back yet?" When she was drying clothes at home, Wang Erping was still playing in the front yard. In the blink of an eye, he was gone. In fact, Wang Zhong was hiding at the back of the mountain at home, secretly watching them from the grass. He knew that he had to hide. As his mother, Chinyu definitely wouldn't be able to leave for a while. When evening came, they wouldn't have to travel in the middle of the night. In this way, they would miss the possibility of meeting Ma Dahu. Perfect. Erping, this child is too much. He disappeared at this time. If I find him, I'll beat him to death. Chinyu usually didn't beat her child unless she was annoyed. "Don't worry, Madam Wang. Your husband's injury isn't serious. Old Master Sun has already hired the best doctor in the county to treat him. You should find the child first." What exactly happened? The servant roughly explained the situation. Chunyu's hanging heart relaxed a little. "Okay, I'll look for the child first." Erping. After that, Chinyu went door to door in the village to look for the child, but she still couldn't find him. In the end, the entire village helped to look for him. Wang Zhong leisurely hid in the mountain. He had stepped on this mountain before. Because the villagers often chopped firewood, there were no ferocious beasts, so it was very safe. The sun finally set. At this time, Chun-Yu was almost in tears. She sat in her own courtyard and cried, "My husband was hurt by thieves, and now my child is gone. How can I face my husband?" Woo, the other women in the village took turns to comfort her. There were also some men who held lanterns to help search for her. However, everyone knew that if the child couldn't be found during the day, there was no need to talk about it at night. It was probably taken away by a wolf. Everyone secretly guessed. Mother. At this moment, Wang Zhong crawled out of the field with his face covered in dirt. Too even. Erping, that child is back. The villagers walked over one by one in surprise. Erping, where did you go? Chen Yu hurriedly ran over and hugged Wang Zhong, checking him anxiously. Fortunately, he didn't lose an arm or a leg. Mother, I was taken away by a wolf. It wanted to eat me. Later, I picked up a piece of firewood. The wolf was probably scared and ran away. Wang Zhong seemed to be nervous as he continued. Later on, I was in the mountains and couldn't find the way out no matter how hard I tried. Just now I saw all the lanterns here, so I came over. So that's how it is. Thank the heavens. Buddha has blessed us. Originally, Qinyu thought that Wang Zhong was being playful and was prepared to beat him up. She never expected that the child had been taken away by a wolf. Thankfully, nothing happened. The villagers clicked their tongues in wonder. They secretly thought that the 7-year-old Wang Erping was really something. He had even scared off a wolf. This Erping is really impressive. If I were to encounter a wolf, I probably wouldn't be able to escape. Isn't that so? I heard that the more you run, the more the wolf will chase after you. How can we outrun a 4-legged wolf with 2 legs? This means that Erping is blessed by the heavens. Erping's mother, your good luck is here. The villagers were all very simple. They didn't make any guesses about Wang Zhong's words. Even if they found it strange, they wouldn't delve into it. After all, he was just a 7-year-old child. Why would he lie for no reason? Soon, these people returned to their homes under Chen Yu's gratitude. Madam, it's already late. It's not easy to travel at night. Let's set off tomorrow, the Sun family's servant suggested. Well, all right then. If you don't mind, you can stay in my side room for the night, Chen Yu said. Then I'll have to trouble you. The Sun family's servant nodded in embarrassment. After that, Chen Yu prepared some food. The 3 of them ate and went to rest. The next day, Chen Yu woke up early and packed her luggage. She asked her neighbors to take care of the chickens, ducks, and sheep at home. Then, she carried Wang Zhong and the Sun family's servant to the county town. However, before they left, Wang Zhong pointed at the Sun family servant and said, "It's not very convenient for you to wear the Sun family's clothes, right? Last time, this person's clothes were recognized by Ma family, resulting in the 3 of them being killed. This time, as a precaution, Wang Zhong made him change his clothes before leaving. What's wrong?" The servant was amused. He thought that this 7-year-old child was really fun to play with. However, Wang Zhong's next sentence made him serious. That group of horse bandits are not all dead, right? If they meet you on the way, they will definitely recognize you as the Sun family servant. Do you think they will deal with you? Although Wang Zhong's voice was childish, the servant's heart skipped a beat when he heard it. Yes, they had to pass through the official road to the county town. There were many pedestrians. If they were unlucky and met horse bandits and were recognized as the Sun family servant, with the ferocity of those horse bandits, they would definitely seek revenge. Even 10 lives would not be enough for him to survive. Madam, your son is right. Look at my brain. It's not as good as a child's. It's really inconvenient for me to wear these clothes. Chen Yu took out Wang Chuansai's clothes from the house and said, "Then you wear this." "Thank you." After changing their clothes, the 3 of them set off. After a day and a night, they finally entered the county town. This was the first time that Wang Zhong came to the county town. There were indeed more people than the village. From time to time, he could see a few patrolmen walking around. When passing by some peddlers selling vegetables and listening to their conversation, he learned that Counselor Sun's family had encountered horse bandits a few days ago, and many people had died. However, the horse bandits had suffered more casualties. In order to hunt down the remaining horse bandits, all the constables in the county town had come out to search everywhere. Finally, the 3 of them came to the door of a big house. The plaque on the door was engraved with 2 golden words, Sun Mansion. Am I going to see my wife? It's really frustrating. Wang Zhong's childish face wrinkled. He was thinking about what to do next to let his wife see how powerful he was and admire him. The original owner was so obsessed because Sun Susu looked down on him and even bullied him. She wouldn't make him a cuckold, right? A cold light flashed in Wang Zhong's eyes. Fortunately, they met when they were 7 years old. He had the means to let Sun Susu know how powerful he was. He wanted to let her know what it meant to be out of her reach. Chapter 7. Husband. Upon entering the Sun family's courtyard, Chunyu saw Wang Quankai lying on the bed after opening the door. She rushed over excitedly. "Husband, are you okay?" "Ahem, I'm fine. Counselor Sun is kind-hearted. He hired the best doctor for me." Wang Chuansai's lips were a little pale. Obviously, he had lost too much blood. However, as long as he survived the initial stage of this kind of injury, he only needed to slowly recuperate. "Madam, don't worry. I have taken good care of sir." The doctor also said that as long as he takes the medicine on time, he will definitely recover. "I brought you here in consideration of letting sir recuperate in peace." Standing at the side, official Sun had a plump figure, but he was wearing a luxurious gown. Beside him was a manservant and a maid. Although this person looked very noble, his voice was kind and his attitude was humble. He did not look like a nouveau riche who looked down on others. With one look, Wang Zhong had a good impression of Counselor Sunday. As his future father-in-law, it should not be too difficult to get along with him in the future. "But it's not appropriate for us to live here. How about I hire a carriage and go home to rest?" Chun Yu said hesitantly. "Mother, the house here is so beautiful. Why don't we live here? I really want to live here." Wang Zhong pulled Chun Yu's clothes and said, "This child." Wang Quankai shook his head helplessly. Counselor Sun laughed and said, "This child is quite good. Let's listen to him and live here. In addition, there are some things I need to tell you." After that, Counselor Sun asked the maid and manservant to lead Wang Zhong out to play. After leaving the room, even though the maids and manservants took turns to tease Wang Zhong with candied haws, it was a pity that Wang Zhong didn't even look at them. With a calm expression, he said, "Go and play. I don't need you to look after me." The two servants looked at each other in dismay. They were somewhat dumbfounded by the words of a 7-year-old child. They could only sit in the garden in boredom and look at Wang Zhong. In any case, it was fine as long as Wang Zhong didn't cry or make a fuss. Wang Zhong deliberately squatted by the door and listened to the conversation between Counselor Sun and his parents. "Sir, if it weren't for your tip-off, the whole Sun family would have been killed by the horse gang. You are the benefactor of the Sun family. I respect you very much. Just now, I saw that your son was very sensible. He didn't cry or make a fuss. His age is similar to my daughter's. Why don't we become in-laws?" Wang Zhong was overjoyed when he heard this. So this was how his marriage with Sun Susu was decided. However, from this, it could be seen that Counselor Sun was also a person who valued friendship. After that, the people inside tried to push back and forth. In the end, Wang Quankai had no choice but to agree. He chose an auspicious date to set the stage for the betrothal. From this day onwards, Wang Zhong lived in the Sun family. Unfortunately, the Sun family was too big. He wanted to see what his fiancée looked like. Unfortunately, she did not appear. Instead, Counselor Sun's godson appeared. These days, Wang Zhong slowly learned from his parents that Counselor Sun had another godson besides his 2 dead sons. His name was Sun Jitian. This Sun Jitian was now 12 years old. He was tall and powerful. Originally, Counselor Sun wanted Sun Jitian to learn from Wang Quankai. Unfortunately, he did not like to learn. Instead, he liked to play with his spear. "Child, I heard that you are going to marry my sister." On the 7th day of living here, Sun Jitian saw Wang Zhong sitting alone by the lake in the big house. So he came over and said, "What's wrong?" Wang Zhong saw the unfriendly look in Sun Jitian's eyes. He immediately knew that he was jealous of him and came to find trouble. Thinking about it, it made sense. Squire's son had a large family and business. Now that he had lost his son, he only had a daughter. If it were a normal family, they would have let son Jitian marry son Xiuxiu to strengthen the family ties. This way, they could keep the goodies within the family. Now that he came out of nowhere, anyone would be angry if they were in his shoes. Wang Zhong narrowed his eyes. If this son Jitian really affected him, it would be troublesome. With his current small body, he was definitely not his opponent. However, the other party was only 12 years old. At most, he would bully him. He would not be ruthless to him. Child, do you know that you and my sister are engaged? Of course I know. Very good. But do you know you are only 7 years old? Yes, but Susu is also only 7 years old. Do you think I am not worthy of her? Wang Zhong calmly said. Sun Jitian was a little surprised. The child in front of him was only 7 years old, but he talked to him as if he was talking to an adult. Not only was his speech clear, but he was neither servile nor overbearing. He didn't have the mischievous look of a child who cried when he was scared. Just say it. Why are you looking for me? Wang Zhong said again. Sun Jitian walked over step by step. Wang Zhong's face was calm. He was not afraid of the other party. After all, not far away, there were maids and servants walking around. I hope you will treat my sister better. Sun Jitian said word by word. I can see that you are very mature. I originally thought that my sister would marry a disobedient boy. Now that I see you like this, I am relieved. Sun Jitian breathed a sigh of relief and smiled sincerely. However, if you don't treat my sister well, I promise, I will not let you go. After saying that, Sun Jitian left without looking back. Wang Zhong felt a little confused. Was he recognized by his brother-in-law? Early the next morning, Wang Zhong heard from Counselor Sun, who came to visit Sun Jitian's injury. Sun Jitian volunteered to go to a big city nearby to practice martial arts in a martial arts school. After chatting for a while, Counselor Sun smiled at Wang Zhong. Erping. Susu is in the courtyard. You two go play house. It could be seen that Counselor Sun also liked Wang Zhong very much. The main reason was that Wang Zhong showed an understanding that ordinary children did not have. Moreover, he did not need to be taught anything. He understood everything. Yes, Lord Sunday, Wang Zhong sighed in his heart. It was a disaster that could not be avoided. As expected, he was going to see his fiancée. It was really annoying. Coming to the courtyard, Wang Zhong stood with his hands behind his back and walked calmly. He had the demeanor of a child showing off. Several maids pointed at him. Look at this child, so funny. Yes, I heard that he is the son of a scholar. Sure enough, he has the aura of a scholar. These maidservants did not shy away from discussing. The reason was also very simple. Would a 7-year-old child think that this child would be able to understand their conversation? Boy, which family are you from? Why are you in my house? Chapter 8. A childish voice rang out. Turning around, Wang Zhong saw a girl wearing a flowery cotton-padded jacket. She had long hair, a jade-like face, and a pouting, cherry-like mouth. She had her hands on her hips and was staring at him in an unreasonable manner. Sun Susu. Wang Zhong said, It's me. Who are you? Are you? She seemed to have guessed Wang Zhong's identity. Because a few days ago, her father told her that a child named Wang Zhong was very good, so he arranged a marriage between them. Yes, I'm your future husband. Wang Zhong walked towards her. I know you look down on me now, but it doesn't matter. I'll let you know the real me. Wang Zhong didn't get close to Sun Susu because he found that this girl developed faster than him. They were both 7 years old, but she was half a head taller than him. If he walked closer, he would have to look up at her. Sure enough, girls develop quickly, especially this kind of girl who has been living a luxurious life since childhood. Although Sun Susu was only 7 years old, she knew a lot. However, Wang Zhong's words still made her unable to react. What do you mean by the river flows? Let me tell you, I'm very strict with my husband. Can you do it? Can you do it? Please remove the word can, thank you. Unfortunately, Wang Zhong didn't explain too much. After all, he was only facing a 7-year-old child. To deal with this kind of child, he didn't need to explain. Humph, you can't do it, right? Sun Su Su stuck out her tongue. Lu, my husband can play the role of a rooster. Hurry up and play the role of a rooster for me. Just like this, quack, quack, quack. That's a duck. Wang Zhong frowned. I know I'm a duck, so I want you to play the role of a rooster. Hurry up and play for me. So this is what this girl's personality is like. She is indeed a 7-year-old child who cannot be reasoned with. I just remembered that I have something to do. Goodbye. Hey, don't go. A rooster doesn't know how to learn. Learn how to croak like a pig. My husband needs to be able to play with me. Hurry up and croak like a pig. I still want to ride a horse. The mischievous son, Susu, kept pestering Wang Zhong. Wang Zhong was so angry that his face turned green. At first, he thought this girl was cute, but now he only felt annoyed. Such a girl is actually my wife. I'm so angry. For the next few days, Sun Susu came to look for Wang Zhong almost every day, but Wang Zhong basically avoided her. There was nothing he could do about it. A 7-year-old child kept pestering him. He couldn't hit him or scold him. He really didn't know how to rule. More than a month later, Wang Chuancai's injuries were almost healed, and his face had regained its color. He was too embarrassed to stay here any longer, so he bid farewell and went home. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Ever since Wang Quankai was seriously injured, his body had not recovered. Although he looked fine on the surface, he could no longer work in the fields. He could only teach some children. However, as his body deteriorated day by day, he didn't have the strength to teach anymore. Therefore, in the end, Wang Zhong could only teach. During this period, Wang Zhong lived a very fulfilling life. He exercised every day, but because Wang Quankai lost his ability to work, he could only learn to work in the fields at a young age. On a midsummer night, Wang Zhong finished eating and was about to go out to practice when Wang Quankai, who was resting in bed, called out to him. Erping, you are already 12 years old. What do you think about the future? Wang Quankai was worthy of being an intellectual. His mind was not filled with the idea of letting his child stay in the fields. Dad, can I take the imperial examinations in the future? Wang Zhong put down his chopsticks and asked calmly. The couple looked at each other. Wang Quankai shook his head in disappointment. This path, no. But you also took the imperial examinations several times. Although you didn't pass, why don't you let me try? After thinking about it, Wang Zhong stood up. You should know that with my knowledge, I am confident. Unfortunately, you were born at the wrong time. What do you mean? The current imperial court is corrupt. There are countless corrupt officials. I heard that Li Erden's brother took the imperial examinations 5 times, but he didn't pass once. Do you know why? Wang Quankai sighed. It's because the exam papers were swapped. Is that so? In the Great Dragon Dynasty, when he was still a eunuch, the civil and military officials of the Great Dragon Dynasty were all corrupt and corrupt. After he came to power, he investigated several cases where the exam papers were swapped for those who didn't pass. He didn't expect this world to also have such a thing. In the Great Dragon Dynasty, because his status was close to the emperor, he only needed to show some talent in front of the emperor to easily seize power. But this time it wasn't so easy. Then what about me taking the military examination? Wang Zhong said, but he rejected the idea. With his health, it wouldn't be easy for him to pass. Erping, you are going to marry Sun Susu in the future, so you don't have to think about those things. You should visit the Sun family more often and get to know each other better. As for me, my health is getting worse. You are already 12 years old and will be an adult in 2 years. Remember, this family will be handed over to you. When you are 18 years old, I will try to let you and Susu marry in advance. I know. Although he knew that this was a game, Wang Zhong's heart was still heavy because he knew that this was a family responsibility. After that, Wang Chuancai's health deteriorated day by day. In the past, he could barely walk, but in the end, he could only lie on the bed. In fact, Wang Zhong had thought about how to treat Wang Quankai. Unfortunately, he didn't know Chinese medicine, so he couldn't treat him. He could only ask the doctor in the village to take his pulse and prescribe some Chinese medicine. In order to see a doctor, the family's 5 sheep were all sold, leaving only a male sheep for breeding. More than 10 old hens that could only lay eggs were also sold by Chinyu. Because Wang Zhong couldn't teach anymore, the number of children who came to study decreased. After all, Wang Zhong looked like he was only in his teens, so no one believed that he could teach. In addition, Li Erden's brother opened a private school in the same village, so most of the children went there to study. This caused the family's income to decrease by a lot. Every month, they had to buy medicine for Wang Quankai, which made the originally wealthy family very difficult to make ends meet. When it rains, it pours. In the summer, when Wang Zhong was 16 years old, it rained for more than a month. The fields that were supposed to have a bumper harvest had no harvest at all. Wang Zhong's house also collapsed because of the heavy rain. Fortunately, he noticed that something was wrong and quickly ran out of the house with his mother. However, he couldn't save Wang Zhong in time. After the heavy rain, Wang Zhong and his mother found Wang Quankai under a pile of rubble, crushed to death. Chapter 9. Wang Quankai left, but he did not leave peacefully. Although Wang Zhong did not know much about traditional Chinese medicine, he knew how to examine a corpse. He could tell that Wang Quankai was not killed immediately. When the house collapsed, it only hit his legs. Eventually, he died from excessive blood loss. Apart from them, the rest of the villagers did not have it easy either. All the fertile fields that were about to be harvested had been soaked in water for too long, resulting in necrosis of the crops. In addition, many people's houses had collapsed, and their property had been lost. There were countless deaths and injuries, and more people were displaced. As for the imperial court, it was incompetent. The food that was originally distributed for disaster relief was embezzled by the officials. In the end, the victims did not receive any relief. After the rainy season, Wang Zhong and his mother covered Wang Chuansai's body with a straw mat and simply buried him in the back mountain of their home. It was not that Wang Zhong did not want to buy a better coffin, but they had no property left. They could not afford a coffin except for the 2 of them and an old goat that could breed. Wang Zhong did not expect that the originally happy family would become like this after the disaster. Fortunately, he had the mindset of a modern person. As long as he had hands and feet, he believed that he could stand up again. The people in the village had no food, and gradually more and more people began to steal. At night, Wang Zhong and his mother stayed in the sheep shed. In the middle of the night, they heard the old goat bleating. Ba ba ba, because the old goat had lived for a long time and was very smart, its bleating was very urgent. With a flip of his body, Wang Zhong stood up. Without another word, he picked up the axe that he had hidden in the grass. Who is it? In the dark, Wang Zhong saw 2 figures pulling the old goat away. Damn it! Wang Zhong slashed at them without saying a word. After all, the 2 people had a guilty conscience, so they turned and ran away. Erping, what's wrong? Chun Yu walked out trembling. It's okay, Mom. 2 thieves want to steal our goat. God is not giving us a way out. We are already like this, and there are still thieves thinking about us. Cough, cough, cough. Chun Yu burst into tears and coughed violently. She had not been able to sleep or eat well these days. She was getting old and her body was getting weaker. In the following days, Wang Zhong asked Chun Yu to stay at home and clean up the ruins, pick up some useful things, and look after Lao Yang. As for him, he didn't farm anymore because he didn't have the money to buy seeds. Besides, it was too late to wait for the harvest. He had to find a way to get money and food. Therefore, he took the axe and shovel and decisively entered the mountain. These days, the mountains were still the world of animals. If one went deep into the mountains, it was very easy to encounter wild animals. Therefore, Wang Zhong did not dare to go too deep into the mountains. After climbing a few trees and digging out a few bird eggs, Wang Zhong found a small cave and caught a nest of bamboo rats. There were 3 of them. After being killed by his axe, he picked some wild fruits and mushrooms, and then went home. When he returned home, he saw several villagers gathered in front of his house. Erping's mother, our family really doesn't have any money. Please do us a favor and let your old goat breed with our ewe. My family has 16 sheep, but only these 3 are left. Old Huang's family led 3 ewe. His family was quite miserable. He was originally a blacksmith, but this time, his house collapsed and one of his sons was killed. However, people had to live on. After cleaning up, they could start a new life. Originally, they would charge 2 copper coins for each mating. This time, to breed with 3 ewe, they would need at least 6 copper coins. However, old Huang said that his family really didn't have any money. Chunyu didn't know what to do at this moment. Fortunately, Wang Zhong came back. Uncle Huang, Wang Zhong called out. It's fine if we don't have money. Give me some food. This old Huang was very embarrassed. Who had food at this time? Even if they did, who would be willing to take it out? It was no longer the same as before. How about this? In the future, help me make some iron pipes. You can breed anytime, Wang Zhong said after some thought. That's fine too. Old Huang nodded without thinking. He was a blacksmith, so it wasn't a problem for him to make 1 or 2 ironware. After it was done, Wang Zhong brought some wild fruits picked from the mountain for Chinyu to eat. Then, he boiled a pot of water and added a pot of picked mushrooms. While cooking, Wang Zhong quickly skinned and dug out the stomachs of the 3 bamboo rats. Just as he was about to roast them, he saw 7 or 8 lanterns in the dark in the distance. Hey, it seems like someone is coming to our house, Chinyu said curiously. Wang Zhong also saw the lanterns. When these people came closer, he realized that the leader was actually a beautiful woman who looked somewhat familiar. The woman's expression was a little cold. After glancing at the bamboo rats in Wang Zhong's hand, she covered her mouth and said, "You actually eat such disgusting things like rats." "Miss, there's a famine outside now. We can't do anything about it." Chinyu patted his chest and replied while coughing. "You are Sun Susu." Wang Zhong recognized this mischievous girl who used to ask him to learn how to crow like a rooster and squeak like a pig. "It's me." Sun Susu frowned. "Father knows that you're not doing well, so he asked me to come and pick you up." Chunyu was a little happy, but she was also a sensible person. Their family was so poor now. If they went over, they would probably be looked down upon. It didn't matter to her. But what about Wang Zhong? "Hurry up and get ready. My father's health isn't very good. He wants to see you as soon as possible," Sun Susu said calmly. "Got it." Wang Zhong nodded. His original plan was to rely on the iron pipes made by Uncle Huang to make elementary firearms to hunt. Then, he would sell the fur and meat he hunted in the county town to earn money. When he was 18 years old, he would bring the money he had accumulated to the Sun family to propose marriage. However, since they came over so early, there was no need for him to be pretentious. Chunyu went to the sheep shed to pack their luggage. Sun Susu said to Wang Zhong, "Come with me. I have something to tell you." "Okay." He followed Sun Susu to the field. Sun Susu had her back facing him and said, "I haven't seen you for so many years. You're still the same as when you were young. You don't like to smile. What do you want to say?" "My father is seriously ill and can't make it." Sun Susu turned around and said, "He wants to see us get married as soon as possible before he dies. His wish has been fulfilled." Okay. Wang Zhong's words were concise and comprehensive. If it was a disaster, he couldn't avoid it. Although the marriage came a little early, there was no other way. Chapter 10. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Following the sound of firecrackers in front of Counselor Sun's house, Wang Zhong rode a horse, dressed as a bridegroom, and led his son Susu, who was being carried by 8 palanquins, into the inner courtyard of the Sun family's mansion. For a moment, the entrance of the Sun residence was filled with onlookers. Today was the wedding day of the Sun family's daughter, Sun Susu. It was said that the Sun family gave out free cakes and candies, and even prepared thousands of bowls of porridge for the neighbors to eat. One had to know that there was a famine this year. The originally lively street not only had a lot fewer hawkers, but there were also no people shopping. Instead, there were many homeless beggars. After hearing that there was food here, the spacious street was crowded with people. Even though it was a joyous day, Wang Zhong didn't smile. He even looked a little irritated. Marriage is indeed a troublesome matter. Not only are there many red tape, but there are also so many onlookers. Wang Zhong's face was cold as he rode a horse into the house. Although he had never touched a horse in this world, he was very familiar with it in the Great Dragon Dynasty. Therefore, he didn't have any problems riding a horse. This made some of the servants who wanted to see this son-in-law become a joke surprised. They didn't expect a little scholar from the mountains to know how to ride a horse. That's right, Wang Zhong married into the Sun family. The reason was simple. He didn't have a house now, and his family was so poor that they relied on eating rats to survive. After discussing with Chunyu, Counselor Sun felt that it was best to live in the Sun family. If he wanted to live in the Sun family, he could only marry into the Sun family. Chunyu originally thought that Wang Zhong wasn't willing. After all, in this era, a son-in-law who married into the Sun family would be gossiped about behind his back. However, Wang Zhong didn't care. It was just marrying into the Sun family. If one had the ability, marrying into the Sun family was fine. If one didn't have the ability, marrying into the Sun family would also be gossiped about. Counselor Sun was very sick now. He had been lying in bed for a while, but today he wore a red festive robe and was supported by his godson, Sun Jitian, to sit on the chair at the head of the hall. After all these years, Counselor Sun, who used to have a big belly and a blessed face, had lost a lot of weight. Wang Zhong felt sorry for him. Indeed, his heart ached. This was because in Wang Zhong's mind, his impression of Counselor Sun was better than Sun Susu. This elder was kind-hearted, compassionate, and kind. Although he was a landlord, he was deeply loved and respected by the villagers nearby. His godson, Sun Jitian, was also there, standing beside Counselor Sunday. He was more muscular than when he was young. His eyes were resolute, and his hands were full of calluses. It was obvious that he was a martial artist. When he saw Wang Zhong walking over, he nodded slightly as a form of greeting. There were many guests, all of whom were prominent figures in the county. Facing these people, Counselor Sun became spirited as if nothing had happened. He cupped his hands and chatted with a smile. Wang Zhong understood that everyone was acting, including Counselor Sunday. Counselor Sun didn't dare to show that he didn't have long to live. He wanted to take this opportunity to let people know that he was still fine. Next was the toast, the ceremony, and the wedding wine. After the guests were seated, the dishes were served. The guests toasted each other, and many ran to Wang Zhong to toast. Wang Zhong was a little helpless. His body was too weak, and he couldn't drink much. Haha, all of you, don't bully my brother-in-law. I'll drink this wine for him. At this time, Sun Jitian walked over and took the wine from Wang Zhong's hand. He clinked glasses with the guests. This guy's alcohol tolerance was so high that the guests were afraid of him. After toasting table after table, Sun Jitian drunkenly pulled Wang Zhong to the next room. From now on, you're my brother-in-law. Do you still remember what I said to you when we were young? Yes. Wang Zhong nodded. Sun Jitian burped. He looked drunk, but Wang Zhong could see that he was very sober. My dad said that your dad saved our family, so he's our savior. No matter if his son is a pig or a human, since we're engaged, we won't go back on our promise. My dad's health is not good now, and I'm a rough person who doesn't know many words. I only know how to practice martial arts, but I don't know how to do business. My sister is in charge of everything at home. After you get married, I hope you can help her. After all, you're also a scholar and a scholar. I understand. Wang Zhong nodded slightly. This brother-in-law of his looked rough, but he was actually quite meticulous. His words were actually very simple. What he meant was that if it wasn't for his dad, with his condition, he definitely wouldn't let his sister marry him. Now that she was marrying him, it was to repay his kindness. Wang Erping, you have to know what's good for you and worry more about the family. These words, compared to when he was a child, he directly told him that if he bullied his sister, he would teach him a lesson. You go to the bridal room. I'll help you block the wine outside. Sun Jiqian waved his hand. At this time, a woman wearing green clothes came. She was carrying a child and frowned. Father of the child, don't drink so much. If I don't block the wine, brother-in-law won't let me get drunk. Right, let me introduce you. Sun Jiqian hugged the woman and smiled. Your sister-in-law, Lin Shimei. Hello, sister-in-law. Wang Zhong nodded slightly. It could be seen that the two were very loving. Well, brother-in-law, Su is in the room. You can go. Lin Shimei smiled. Thank you, sister-in-law. Wang Zhong clasped his fist and walked into the room. He didn't have a good impression of Sun Su, so he wasn't looking forward to entering the bridal room. As he walked, he was thinking about the next step. It had been a month since he came to the Sun family. During these days, he found that the Sun family wasn't as peaceful as he thought. It wasn't that the Sun family wasn't good, but in these years, the poor people outside didn't have a good life. The Sun family was a landlord family, so they didn't have a good life either. In these years, the county town was getting bigger and bigger, and the population was increasing. However, the Sun family's business didn't improve. Instead, it declined. There were many reasons for this. There were more competitors and heavier taxes. In addition, the horse bandits outside were getting more and more powerful. Every year, the Sun family's caravan would be robbed several times. Over the years, the Sun family was really struggling to survive. In this way, Counselor Sun fell ill due to mental and physical exhaustion. Wang Zhong thought about it. If he wanted to get Sun Su's respect and complete the mission, then he had to do something to impress her. In the past, he was limited by his wealth, status, and connections. It wasn't easy for him to do it, but it was different now. Next, he had 3 goals. 1. Increase the core competitiveness of the Sun family's products and completely destroy the products of other businesses. 2. Increase the crop yield of the Sun family's land. If the farmers had a good harvest, then they would have to pay more rent. This point was very easy to implement. When he was young, under Wang Zhong's suggestion, his parents' harvest from farming was 1 to 3 times that of other people. 3. Eliminate the bandits. Wang Zhong guessed that this group of mounted bandits was the one that had killed him. All these years, the leader of the mounted bandits had probably been thinking about what had happened that night. But then again, if they were thinking about it, he was also thinking about it. He must take revenge for causing him to lose 1,000 experience points. Chapter 11. Creak. The wooden door with the word "she" on it was pushed open. Wang Zhong entered the room with a cold face. He closed the door and scanned the room. This was his and Sun Su's wedding room. It was clean and spacious. On the spacious bed sat a bride in a red wedding dress with a red cloth on her head. It was Sun Su. Wang Zhong understood that they didn't have any feelings for each other. Sun Xiu looked down on him, but her upbringing since she was young made her obedient to her father's words, which was why she had married him. As for himself, he did not care about Sun Su, so he kept a cold face. There was nothing he could do about it. He would not curry favor with anyone just to complete his mission. The room was quiet. Sun Su clenched her fists tightly and placed them on her knees. It was obvious that she was nervous. After all, this was her first marriage. Wang Zhong poured a cup of tea on the table and said calmly, "I can't hold my liquor well. Let's drink tea instead of wine. How about that?" "Okay, I'll listen to you." She was quite obedient. Wang Zhong was quite satisfied. He poured the tea and took a cup over. Before Sun Su could react, he lifted the red cloth. Sun Su looked up and pursed her lips. She seemed to be wondering why Wang Zhong was so unromantic. Wang Zhong continued to ignore her and said, "Drink it and rest early." Sun Su took the tea and thought for a while. She said angrily, "We have to drink cross-cup wine." "Okay then." This request was reasonable. Although Wang Zhong did not like her, he could still agree to some small requests. After drinking cross-cupped wine, Wang Zhong lay on the bed. Sun Susu was a little annoyed. Was she not upright? Why did he not touch her? She also lay on the bed. Sun Susu had no choice but to move on her own. Although there were many stories about love in ancient times, stories were just stories. Since ancient times, the more human society lacked something, the more widely the stories about it became. For example, there was no such thing as love. Therefore, Sun Susu did not have any expectations for Wang Zhong. She and Wang Zhong were like most girls in ancient times, accepting their parents' orders. In the morning, Wang Zhong looked at the woman beside him and hugged Sun Susu a little tighter. She was his wife now. It was his responsibility to protect her and let her live a good life. "You're awake?" Wang Zhong asked as he felt Sun Susu move. "Yes, husband." Sun Susu's voice was very soft. She did not want to give Wang Zhong the first impression that she was a rude woman. "Let's get up early. We have to go to the shop on the street later. There's a batch of knives today, and I need to personally check them. Are you the one who usually does all these?" "Yes, our father's health is not good. It's not good for him to go out. My brother is only in charge of escorting. He doesn't know anything about business." Sun Susu got up quickly. After getting dressed, she helped Wang Zhong tidy up his clothes and said, "I'm sorry. Why are you apologizing to me?" Wang Zhong was puzzled. "I let you get up too early. You and I are husband and wife. It's too estranged." Sun Susu was stunned and then nodded slightly. "I think too much. Husband, you're more thoughtful. After breakfast, you can talk to our father. He likes you very much. He used to say that you were smarter and more sensible than me when you were young. I will go, but don't you need me to accompany you to the shop?" Wang Zhong asked. "No, but if you want to learn, I will teach you in the future. Let's go together. This is my responsibility." Wang Zhong put on his clothes and turned to go out. Sun Susu looked surprised. She originally thought that Wang Zhong was a pedantic scholar who disdained to deal with people in the business world. Now, it seemed that she was wrong. After breakfast, the two of them led the 4 servants to the street. As they walked, Sun Susu introduced the Sun family's business to Wang Zhong. 1/3 of the shops in the vicinity were owned by the Sun family. Half of them were rented out to the outside world, and the other half were operated by the Sun family. There were restaurants, inns, pawn shops, cloth shops, and knife shops. The restaurants and inns had been doing well because of the prosperity of the area. Only the cloth shop and the agricultural tool shop had not been doing well in recent years. The cloth shop used to have good business, but unfortunately, the cloth from other provinces has often been robbed in recent years. We have to buy cloth from the neighboring county. Although the material is the same, the price is high. We have no advantage in terms of price. Recently, the knife shop has been robbed because the Zhao family found a new iron mine. The knives they make are cheaper than ours. If this continues, I'm afraid these two businesses won't last long." Listening to Sun Susu's words, Wang Zhong understood a little. When they arrived at the knife shop, sure enough, 3 blacksmiths each led a carriage to the door of the knife shop. These people laid out knives and axes of all shapes and sizes for Sun Xiuxiu to choose from. Wang Zhong didn't know much about these, but along the way, he found a problem. There were no agricultural tool shops on the street. After some bargaining, Sun Susu bought this batch of knives and let the people in the shop hang them on the wall for display. Just as the 3 blacksmiths were about to leave, Wang Zhong stopped them. "What can I do for you, sir?" A blacksmith saw Wang Zhong's noble clothes and bowed. "Other than these knives, can you make farm tools?" "Of course I can. I made all the farm tools in my village." Wang Zhong nodded his head and asked the servants to prepare a pen and paper. He recalled some of the modern era's convenient and fast farming tools and said, "According to this blueprint, custom make a batch of farming tools for me. If possible, we'll buy all of them." "Really?" The blacksmith on the side was surprised. "This is my husband. I won't lie." Although Sun Susu didn't understand Wang Zhong's intention, She chose to believe Wang Zhong. It was just a batch of farm tools that she had never seen before. After these people left, Sun Su Su went to the inn and restaurant to inspect. Although these places were managed by special managers, now that the Sun family was suffering from internal and external problems, Sun Su Su didn't dare to give up power. In the following days, Wang Zhong had a systematic understanding of the Sun family's business and confirmed the 3 goals he had previously summarized. A month later, the first batch of farm tools requested by Wang Zhong arrived. Although the farm tools he requested were a little new, they were much better than the farm tools used by the villagers in this era. After that, he arranged for the carpenters to install the handles and make small parts. When he was in the Great Dragon Dynasty, Wang Zhong had personally studied these tasks, so he learned quickly. 2 months later, the first batch of farm tools was completed. In order to make it more recognizable to the customers, he gave his farm tools a name, Sun Brand Farm Tools, and had a sun symbol engraved on each farm tool. However, to Wang Zhong's surprise, once the farm tools were launched, no one bought them. Is no one interested in it? Wang Zhong thought to himself after hearing the news from the waiter. There was no problem with the farm tools themselves, so the problem was the promotion. Chapter 12. Sun Family's Main Hall. Husband, I think the new products you made are very good. Unfortunately, most of the farmers now have suitable farming tools. Plus, there was a rain disaster a while ago, and they suffered heavy losses. I'm afraid they don't have extra money to buy it. Hearing that Wang Zhong's farming tools were not selling well, Sun Su Su comforted him. In fact, Sun Su Su was also puzzled. Logically speaking, Wang Zhong's farming tools were indeed good. Not only were they lighter than the previous ones, but they were also more efficient. Why couldn't they be sold? It's okay, I'll think of a way. Wife, I'll go out in the afternoon. After he finished speaking, Wang Zhong finished the tea in his hand and bowed to Squire Sun, who was sitting at the head of the hall, before leaving. Sigh, husband is too eager for instant success. Sun Su Su, who was standing beside Counselor Sun, sighed. He also wants to make a career. I see that he's not in a hurry when doing things. He's much better than your brother. It's just that his body is a little weak. You should buy more supplements for him. Counselor Sun advised. Got it. Zhao family's mansion, an ordinary house. Ha ha ha. I've said it before. That useless son-in-law of the Sun family invented some new farming tools and wanted to compete with our Zhao family's knife business. What do I say? It's a complete failure. The eldest son of the Zhao family, Zhao Shoujing, held a folding fan in his hand and sneered. The few people beside him were also members of the Zhao family. They all nodded with a smile. The head of the Zhao family, Zhao Wu, smiled and said, I heard that the Sun family spent a few thousand taels of silver to make these farming tools. They're going to rot in the family now. Father, let them be. If they continue like this, the Sun family will be destroyed sooner or later. We can also take the opportunity to buy their business. Yes, we should also take advantage of the situation to suppress other industries. The Sun family recently went to the neighboring county to buy cloth. Have you talked to them? I've already said that we want all the cloth. They can only go to other provinces to buy the cloth. When the time comes, those horse bandits will be enough to make them suffer. Haha, that's good. In the afternoon, Wang Zhong sat in a carriage, thinking about the news he had received these days. Over the years, the Sun family's biggest competitor was probably the Zhao family. Although they didn't seem to be doing anything on the surface, they often played dirty tricks behind the scenes. When he left home today, he heard that the neighboring county's cloth had been purchased by the Zhao family. It was clear that they wanted to monopolize the market. There were still many problems in front of him, which made Wang Zhong understand that without status and resources, sometimes it was really difficult to move forward. No wonder there was such a mission. If it wasn't for me, the original owner Wang Erping wouldn't have had a good life as an ordinary elementary scholar. Shaking off his thoughts, Wang Zhong came to the tenant house that the Sun family rented to the outside. The fertile fields in this village all belonged to the Sun family and were rented out to these tenant farmers every year. Logically speaking, the landlord was hated by these tenant farmers. However, the Sun family was an exception. Counselor Sun was kind-hearted, and the price of the land he rented out was very fair. Therefore, he was deeply respected by these tenant farmers. Come, come, come. Here are the best farming tools. Let's walk around and take a look. A servant of the Sun family began to shout under Wang Zhong's signal. As for Wang Zhong, after the village chief gathered the crowd, he began to demonstrate how to use these farming tools. He had thought about it. The reason why it was difficult to sell was because these people didn't understand. If they understood, it would be easy to sell. After all, these things were sold out in the Great Dragon Dynasty. After a series of introductions, sure enough, the farming tools were approved by the villagers. It's good to use, but the price is too expensive. Yes, my family's money was used to repair the house. Wang Zhong had already guessed that the villagers might not be able to afford it. He was not in a hurry and continued, "You don't have to buy it today. It's free. You can exchange it for grain next year." Therefore, Wang Zhong signed an agreement with each household. According to the value of each farming tool, they would exchange it for grain at the end of the year. Of course, in order to eliminate the farmer's concerns, he also added in the agreement, if the harvest was not good, the grain could be given to him a year later. Such conditions could be said to be good. After all, most people's farming tools were damaged after the disaster. With this batch of farming tools, their work efficiency had improved a lot. Therefore, they signed the agreement and signed it. For the next 3 months, Wang Zhong simply lived in the village chief's house and began to accompany them in the field. He also personally taught them how to irrigate the crops with feces to make the crops fertile. In order to prevent the fertile fields from being flooded again, under his suggestion, a reservoir was dug on the side of each field. It was a ditch that was very common in modern villages. This way, the rainwater not only flowed into the ditch, but it was also not easy to cause flooding. In the summer, there was also enough water to irrigate the farmland. More importantly, some aquatic products could be raised in it so that the villagers could eat fish. Every year, the silt at the bottom of the river could be dug out and poured into the ground. This was also a good fertilizer. Of course, these things could not be done immediately. However, it was foreseeable that in a few years, the village would definitely undergo earth-shaking changes. What? You gave away all those farming tools. 3 months later, when Wang Zhong returned and told Sun Susu the news, she almost fainted from anger. Don't worry. Didn't I say that I had signed the agreement? When the grain harvest is good, it will be paid with grain. In addition, the most important thing I did was to advertise. In the room, Wang Zhong said while drinking tea. Advertisement? What is advertisement? Well, it's a kind of publicity. The village is actually very big. As long as our products are good, sooner or later everyone will recognize it. Besides, our capital is just a little late to be collected. But now the capital at home is not much. We have to go to other provinces to buy cloth. Now, we are afraid that we will encounter the horse thieves again. For this reason, my brother personally escorted them out. He has already left. Wang Zhong frowned. Yes, he has been gone for 3 days. Forget it. I originally had a way to deal with the horse thieves, but I still need time. Sun Susu was shocked again. You really have a way to deal with the horse thieves? Yes, but it will take some time. Can you tell me about it? Sun Susu asked eagerly. If they could deal with the horse thieves, her family's supply of goods would be secured. You won't understand even if I tell you. Rest early. Wang Zhong lay on the bed. By the way, while I was away, how was your father's health? Chapter 13. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the new year again. Unlike other families who celebrated the new year in high spirits, the Sun family was immersed in grief. In the end, Counselor Sun didn't wait for the birth of his child and passed away early. However, he passed away peacefully because at the end of the year, he heard that the farm tools designed by Wang Zhong had finally entered the market. After he gave them to the farmers, they received widespread praise. Thus, word spread from 1 to 10, and 10 to 100. Soon, all of the Sun family's farm tools were sold out. This news even spread to the neighboring counties and other provinces. Many merchants came looking for them, wanting to buy these farm tools. Counselor Sun was very gratified that the Sun family's financial difficulties were alleviated all of a sudden. Before he died, he personally called Wang Zhong to his bedside and instructed him to take good care of Sun Susu. Then, with his eyes wide open, he tilted his head, kicked his feet, and passed away. Sun Jitian personally escorted the goods to the cloth shop. Although the mounted bandits still targeted them, they also discovered that the mounted bandits seemed to know their whereabouts and targeted them every time. However, Sun Jitian was powerful. With a machete in hand, this fellow could fight against more than a dozen people. If he had a helper, with his martial arts, he could deal with even more. Therefore, every time he led the caravan out of the territory of the horse bandits, it would be more daunting than dangerous. In the summer of the second year, Wang Zhong's child was finally born. Wang Zhong's stoic face finally smiled. He realized that the feeling of being a father was quite good. Things seemed to be developing in a good direction. Wang Zhong believed that if this continued, he could make the Sun family develop better and better. However, not long after the child was born, Sun Jitian rushed into the Sun residence one night with his severed arm. All the cloth was stolen. The people in the carriage are all dead after saying this. Sun Jitian's head tilted, and he completely fainted. Wang Zhong, who was coaxing the child to sleep with Sun Susu, immediately rushed out when he heard the news. "Quick, call the doctor, quick." Fortunately, Sun Jitian had been in good health since he was young, so he was able to survive after losing an arm. After being in a coma for a week, Sun Jitian finally woke up. "Dr. Zhong, how is he?" Wang Zhong asked as he looked at Sun Jitian, who had woken up. "It's fine for now. In the future, you should recuperate more. But this broken arm, I can't do anything about it." The doctor sighed and left. Sun Jitian laughed. Ping, I'm fine. It's just an arm. I'll be a good man after I recover." "Brother, don't talk so much." Sun Susu hugged the child, her eyes red. Lin Shimei took a towel and wiped Sun Jitian's face. She cried, "It's good that you are okay. But in the future, sob." In ancient times, due to the limited technology, it was difficult for disabled people to survive. It was no wonder that Lin Shimei was so sad. "Tell me what happened." Wang Zhong nodded at Sun Jitian. "This time, we came back with cloth from other provinces. It was the same road as before. But this time, 3 masters came. They all covered their faces. I could only barely deal with them." "Is it Ma Dahu's gang of bandits?" Wang Zhong asked. Ma Dahu was also there, but he was no match for me. I suspect that we know the 3 masters, so they all covered their faces. The 3 brothers of the Zhao family. Sun Susu gritted his teeth. The Zhao family had a total of 3 brothers. The eldest, Zhao Shoujing, the second, Zhao Shui, and the third, Zhao Shouqiang. They were all martial artists. However, these 3 people were not as strong as Sun Jitian in terms of martial arts. If they were combined, it might not be certain. A few years ago, Zhao Shui and Zhao Shouqiang were learning martial arts outside. Did they come back? Sun Susu said. Now that they hurt Jitian, they will definitely hide for a while. Wang Zhong thought about it and said, "But it doesn't matter. I have a way to deal with them." In the following days, the Sun family suspended the import of cloth and only operated the industries that they had an advantage in. Wang Zhong had been at home these days. No one knew what he was doing. They only saw boxes of firecrackers being moved into the house. Blacksmith Wang, a fellow villager, had also sent over 10 iron pipes that he owed Wang Zhong. Other than that, Wang Zhong had asked the other blacksmiths to make iron pipes of different lengths. All of them were moved to his house. No one knew what he was doing. Only some of the Sun family's servants heard banging sounds coming from the yard from time to time. The sound was very loud, and it scared people every time. Everyone said that the son-in-law of the Sun family had begun to neglect his work. He only knew how to play with firecrackers and let his wife take care of everything. Half a year later, Sun Jiqian's injury finally stabilized, and he could get out of bed. Wang Zhong finally designed something that he was satisfied with, the flintlock gun. That's right. He had been designing a killing weapon these days. The flintlock gun, also known as a gun. He had thought of this idea in the year after the disaster. After the disaster, the people had no way to make a living. Bandits rose. Murders and robberies occurred in many places. There were even refugee riots in distant places. Some local warlords took advantage of the chaos to establish themselves as kings. The corrupt and incompetent imperial court had no time to care. In this life, his body was too weak. In order to protect himself, Wang Zhong thought of a gun. With a gun, it would be easy to deal with bandits like Ma Dahu. So he asked Huang Blacksmith to make the main body of the gun, the iron pipe. Because he had participated in the design of the gun in the Great Dragon Dynasty, he knew how to make this thing. After the iron pipe was made, because there was no modern industry, he could only choose a flintlock gun that could load the bullet and gunpowder separately. Although it was troublesome, as long as he was familiar with it, it was actually quite easy to use. Wang Zhong remembered that in the 18th century, the main weapon used by Western explorers was the flintlock gun. First, they would stuff gunpowder into the pipe with small iron balls in their mouths. After stuffing the gunpowder, they would stuff the iron balls into the pipe and then pull the trigger. The firing pin would hit the flint, and the sparks would ignite the gunpowder. Small iron balls would be shot out. Therefore, the flintlock gun could also be seen as a shotgun because the bullets fired were scattered. This was much more useful than the ancient firearms of our country. The reason why the firearms of our country were not fully developed in ancient times was because the aiming rate was too low. However, if the bullets were scattered, then the problem of aiming would be completely solved. The weakness of the flintlock gun, other than the trouble of loading, was its short range. It was only effective at a range of 30 to 40 meters. However, this was enough for Wang Zhong. In fact, it was not easy to make these flintlocks. In terms of materials, gunpowder, flint, and gun barrels. Although these were all available, small items like the firing pin were more difficult. Therefore, Wang Zhong asked the craftsman to design and polish for a long time, only to make a few dozen of them. During this time, his courtyard was also forcibly transformed into a place for blacksmithing. However, the results were also gratifying. He assembled a total of 58 flintlocks. Among them, 10 were short-barreled flintlocks. The rest were flintlocks like rifles. Very good. The next step is to train them how to use it. Wang Zhong immediately went to Sun Jiqian to discuss the next step of his plan. Chapter 14. Have you heard? The son-in-law of the Sun family, Wang Erping, is going to escort Sun Jiqian to the neighboring city. Zhao Shouqiang said as soon as he entered the Zhao family's hall. Inside the house, the father of the three brothers, Zhao Wu, was sitting in the main hall. Zhao Shoujing and Zhao Shui were sitting on either side. Zhao Shoujing sipped his tea and smiled. Since Sun Jiqian's arm was cut off by us three brothers more than half a year ago, the Sun family's cloth business has plummeted. Now it seems that they can't hold on anymore and are prepared to take the risk to continue. Sun Jiqian escaped last time. This time, we'll kill Wang Erping as well. Zhao Shui said coldly. After dealing with the two men of the Sun family, I'll see how Sun Susu, a woman, can fight with us. Zhao Wu smiled and said, get up quickly and go to the Ma family to report. But remember, don't let anyone see your faces, so as not to alarm the government. Yes, father. The three brothers quickly left. Husband, this journey is long. You must be careful. Sun Susu held the child and looked at Wang Zhong, who was sitting in the carriage. Cough, cough, cough. Wang Zhong coughed a few times. These days, he had neglected sleep and food to develop the flintlock gun, which made his body weak. Wife, go back and take good care of your son. Remember to let the guards move around more at night to avoid being attacked by bandits. Yes, I'll listen to you, husband. Okay, let's go. Wang Zhong entered the carriage. Raise, raise. The coachman shook the reins, and the carriage moved out. This time, Wang Zhong and Sun Jitian led a total of 5 carriages and 3 large flatbed carts, followed by more than 20 guards. Many passers-by frowned when they saw this scene. Everyone knew that there were many bandits out there. Usually, when the big families went out to escort, they would bring at least 30 to 40 people. This time, the Sun family only brought more than 20 people. There was no one left in the Sun family. Everyone sighed in their hearts, but they also prayed that the Sun family would be fine. After all, the Sun family had a good reputation in the county city. No one wanted anything to happen to them. No one noticed that after Wang Zhong and the others left, a young servant quietly left after taking a head count. 15 days later, Wang Zhong's convoy finally received a batch of goods from another province and began to return. They came to a forest that they had passed before and stopped here. There was no other way. There was a huge hole in front of them. If the carriage wanted to pass through, they had to fill up the hole. Sun Jitian dismounted from his horse and came to Wang Zhong's carriage. Erping, up ahead is the place where bandits often appear. Wang Erping got off the carriage, coughed a few times, and looked around. The surroundings were very quiet, but it was precisely because it was too quiet that he became vigilant. Everyone stay alert. Wang Zhong warned and walked to the edge of the pit. This pit was just dug. I'm afraid we've been targeted. What? When the coachman heard this, they immediately looked around in horror. Ha ha ha, Wang Erping, I always thought you were a bookworm. I didn't expect your brain to be so much smarter than Sun Jitian. At this moment, an arrogant laughter sounded. A group of people suddenly came out from the bushes on both sides and surrounded the carriage. These people added up to a total of 50 people. In front and behind them, another 10 people appeared. Clearly, they were surrounded, for people leisurely rode out of the forest on their horses. Wang Zhong recognized one of them, even though he had turned into ash. It was the leader of the mounted bandits, Ma Dahu, who had killed him and Chun Yu in the second game. It was said that Ma Dahu's boss had died at that time, so he naturally became the leader of the mounted bandits. He had been doing well for the past few years and had even gained some weight. On both sides of Ma Dahu were 3 masked people. Without looking, Wang Zhong could guess that they were the 3 brothers of the Zhao family. Sun Jitian walked out with his broadsword and pointed it at the 3 masked men. If you have the ability, take off your mask. What kind of hero are you if you cover your face? Ma Dahu sneered. We don't need to be heroes. Killing you is enough. Get ready. Just as the mounted bandits were about to attack with their broadswords, Wang Zhong gave the order. A group of guards suddenly took out long tubes that were about the same length as their broadswords. These people quickly stuffed gunpowder into the tubes, and finally, they stuffed marbles in. This scene made Ma Dahu a little confused. What was going on? Why were they not using weapons, but these tubes? However, before they could react, Wang Zhong also took out a flintlock gun. After loading, he aimed at the nearest masked man and shouted, "Fire!" Pulling the simple wooden trigger, bang 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 sounds of gunshots rang out. White smoke filled the air around the gunmen who fired. One by one, the bandits fell to the ground. Ma Dahu was shocked to find that his men fell to the ground one by one. Even the horses fell to the ground for some unknown reason. Ma Dahu and the 3 masked men were heavily protected. They were also hit by stray bullets and fell to the ground. Although these people were only injured and fell to the ground, their bodies had been hit by stray bullets. These people had lost their ability to move. What is this thing? Why is there a hole in my shoulder? Can anyone tell me why? One by one, they cried out in horror. Wang Zhong was expressionless and shouted, "Load the bullets! Retreat, retreat!" Ma Dahu was anxious. In the blink of an eye, almost half of his men had fallen. He and the 3 brothers of the Zhao family were injured. How could he continue fighting? Hence, he waved his hand and wanted to leave. How could Wang Zhong let him go so easily? He shouted, "Fire!" Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots rang out. Ma Dahu was shot into a hornet's nest on the spot. After a few more shots, the surviving mounted bandits ran far away and gave up the chase. After all, the remaining people were a motley crew. They couldn't make any big waves. Erping, I didn't expect your invention to be so useful. It's much more useful than practicing martial arts to kill people. Sun Jiqian was very excited. Wang Zhong held his gun and walked to the 3 masked men. Time to see who these 3 people are. Don't kill us. I'm from the Zhao family. Zhao Shoujing took off his mask. I'll give you money. Let me go. Go to hell. Sun Jiqian held his broadsword and stabbed towards the 3 men. Ah! Screams rang out. The 3 brothers of the Zhao family were dead. Victory! We've chased away the bandits. Ha ha ha! This is the power of Master Wang's flintlock. One by one, the guards held their flintlocks and shouted excitedly. Chapter 15. The news that the horse gang was wiped out by the Sun family quickly spread out. At first, the people in the county didn't believe it. After all, Ma family had been entrenched in the mountains around the county for decades. The officers and soldiers had organized several times, but they didn't even see his shadow. But when Ma family's body was hung on the city wall, everyone believed it. What made people more surprised was that there were 3 Zhao brothers' bodies hanging next to Ma family's body. The Zhao brothers were accomplices of the horse gang. The news spread like wildfire and spread all over the city. Everyone pointed the finger at the Zhao family. No wonder Ma family escaped every time the government sent troops. It turned out that the Zhao family tipped them off. Down with the Zhao family, down with the Zhao family. Since the Zhao brothers were accomplices, their father, Zhao Wu, should know. He must be an accomplice too. The people speculated. The government didn't dare to neglect. The county magistrate, Yu Qing, sent soldiers to surround the Zhao family. In order to ensure the success of the action, Wang Zhong promised the county magistrate to send 30 guards of the Sun family. Master Wang, thank you for your help this time. Outside the Zhao family, the county magistrate, Yu Qing, cupped his hands and thanked him. The county magistrate was called Yu Qing. Although he wasn't a good official, he didn't dare to accept the Zhao family's money to cover up the horse gang. It's everyone's duty to get rid of evil for the people. You're too polite, county magistrate. Wang Zhong smiled and continued. It's obvious that the Zhao family is the mastermind behind the horse bandits. In terms of merit, the county magistrate has captured the mastermind behind the horse bandits. In the future, if you want to be promoted, please don't forget about the Sun family. Ha ha ha, hearing the words promoted in the future, the county magistrate laughed and nodded with satisfaction. How could he not understand Wang Zhong's words? Wang Zhong was giving him the great merit of catching the horse gang. He would definitely be promoted for helping the government solve such a big problem. There was no doubt about that. While remembering Wang Zhong's words, the county magistrate changed his opinion of Wang Zhong. He used to think that he was just a useless scholar who lived off a woman. Now it seemed that he was hiding his strength. At least he was very smart. Wang Erping, you killed my 3 sons and ruined my family. Even if I become a ghost, I won't let you go. Inside the Zhao mansion, Zhao Wu's heart-wrenching roar was heard. At this moment, he was filled with regret and hatred. He originally thought that Wang Zhong was a useless scholar. He didn't expect that the Sun family would become stronger and stronger in his hands. He regretted making an enemy out of Wang Zhong. In the end, Zhao Wu committed suicide. The servants and maids of the mansion were sent out one by one. As for his family, they were all killed by Zhao Wu at the last moment. Zhao Wu had no other choice. Once the crime of being a horse gang was verified, not only would his entire family be implicated, But the women in his family would also be sent to be prostitutes. Naturally, he did not want to see his family members like that. Looking at the corpses being carried out one after another, Wang Zhong was expressionless, and his heart was calm. Was it cruel? He did not think that this society was a jungle society. Whether it was ancient or modern, mercy to the enemy was cruelty to oneself. As for the Zhao family's wealth, it was naturally confiscated. The imperial court even personally sent people to take the wealth away. There was no other way. The two provinces in the north rebelled, and the front line was seriously short of soldiers and fodder. The imperial court was now short of money. A month later, Yu Qing was promoted to inspector as expected. Wang Zhong was rewarded with 1,000 mu of land for his meritorious service in eliminating the horse gang. In the county, every household knew about Wang Zhong's deeds. Everyone knew that the son-in-law of the Sun family was a great hero. It was he who eliminated the horse gang around the county. It was unknown who had given Wang Zhong a nickname, Great Hero Old Master Wang. This nickname had persisted for many years. 3 years later, the Sun family's industry expanded. The farmers who rented the Sun family's land had higher yields than the other families. As for the imperial court, after the crown prince took the throne, he worked hard and finally suppressed the two provinces that rebelled. The country returned to peace. When Wang Zhong was 30 years old, his son, Sun Wenlong, had started practicing with Sun Jitian. As for Sun Susu, he was pregnant again. Wang Zhong said that it was all an accident. That night, he and Sun Susu a year later, Sun Susu gave birth to a daughter. Wang Zhong realized that he liked daughters more. Under Sun Susu's suggestion, Wang Zhong named his daughter after his surname. Hence, he named his daughter Wang Duo. 5 years later, Sun Wenlong was already 15 years old. Since he liked practicing since young, he was led by Sun Jitian to another province to learn martial arts. Wenlong, when you are outside, you must listen to your uncle. Do not argue with others. Seeing that his son was about to go far away, Sun Susu's eyes turned red. Wang Zhong remained expressionless as he sat at the head of the table, calmly sipping on his tea before saying, "Martial arts isn't the most important thing. Take these 2 flintlock pistols and learn how to disassemble them regularly. You also need to learn how to aim. Understand?" After he finished speaking, he sighed. When Sun Wenlong was young, he tried to teach him literature and science. Unfortunately, this child was like his uncle, someone who liked to practice with weapons. "Don't worry, Erping. Sister, I will look after him. If this kid dares to mess around, I will beat him to death." Sun Jitian, who only had one hand left, said heartily. His 5-year-old daughter, who was sitting in Wang Zhong's arms, blinked her eyes. She was very curious. Another 5 years passed. Through the matchmaker's introduction, his son, Sun Wenlong, married the county magistrate's daughter. The two of them were a pair, and their relationship was very good. His daughter, Wang Duo, was 10 years old. She was proficient in music, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Although she was still young, she was still cute and had a spoiled personality, just like Sun Susu. At night, Wang Zhong looked at his white hair in the bronze mirror and felt a little emotional. As the saying goes, one can stand at 30 and not be confused at 40. In the blink of an eye, 40 years had passed. The Sun family developed better and better. With the help of his father-in-law, Sun Wenlong entered the army and became a battalion commander. The small county town had now become a big city. However, he had also entered his middle age. Seeing Wang Zhong looking at himself in the mirror, Sun Susu walked over from the bedside and asked, "Master, do you want to take in a concubine?" Now, Sun Susu had changed from a slender and elegant young girl to a middle-aged woman. Because she did not take good care of herself in ancient times, she looked very old and wrinkled. "Madam, why do you say this? The masters of other families have at least 3 or 4 concubines. That way, they can have a prosperous family. If you want, take in a concubine. I have seen for you recently. The steward's daughter, Cui, is 17 years old and very beautiful. There is also the chef's daughter, Lu, who is 15 years old. Madam, you don't have to say these things. I have no intention of taking in a concubine. Wang Zhong put down the bronze mirror and said, "Go to bed and sleep." "But master, I am already old and can't serve you well." Sun Su helped Wang Zhong take off his clothes and said with emotion, "Master, I know you are thinking for me, but I think you should think more about yourself. Think about it." Just as she finished speaking, the maid outside suddenly knocked on the door. "Master, madam, it's not good." Grandma Chen suddenly coughed. Cough, cough, cough. She coughed up blood. The maid said anxiously and even coughed. Chapter 16. Granny Chen was Wang Zhong's mother, Chinyu. From the perspective of an ancient person, she was no longer young. In recent years, her health had not been very good. She basically walked around in her own courtyard. She was fine when I went to see her yesterday. Why did she suddenly become like this? Sun Su put on simple clothes and opened the door to ask the maid, "What happened?" Cough, cough, cough. Wet nurse Chen has caught a cold these few days and has been coughing. She just coughed up blood. I was afraid something might happen, so I came to inform you. Cough, cough. Seeing the maid cough like this, Wang Zhong frowned and closed the door immediately. "Master, what are you doing? I'm afraid she has some kind of infectious disease." Wang Zhong took a piece of cloth and covered his mouth and nose as a mask. "Wait in the room. Don't go out." Sun Mansion. Mother Chinyu's room. "Master Wang, your mother has lung disease, so she coughs up blood. It's better if you don't get close to her to avoid infecting her." The doctor walked to the door of Chinyu's room and took out a brush and paper to write. However, just as he was about to write, he coughed himself. Cough, cough. Not only him, but the maid behind him also coughed. Wang Zhong was shocked. When he saw the maid coughing before, he suspected that she might have an infectious disease. Now that he saw it, it was very likely that it was true. In ancient times, not many people died in wars. The real casualties were from diseases, especially infectious diseases. In ancient Western countries, there were Black Death and plague. Tens of millions of people died in Europe, and the population plummeted. As for us, it's because we are a monsoon country. The temperature in winter and summer is uneven, the atmospheric circulation is unstable, and the geological structure is complicated. We are located on the west coast of the Pacific Ring of fire and earthquake. Therefore, in the recent few thousand years of history, we have suffered from many disasters. The main diseases are typhoid, lung disease, leprosy, malaria, smallpox, and so on. Doctor, have there been many people coughing in the city recently? Wang Zhong covered his mouth and nose and asked. It's strange. These days, there have been many people coughing. I followed the previous prescription to treat the symptoms, but the effect was not obvious. After the doctor finished speaking, he coughed a few times and said, "Old Master Wang, this is the prescription. Prepare the medicine for your mother 3 times a day. I still have to go to the next house to see a doctor, so I won't disturb you." "Well, here's some silver. Sorry to trouble you." Wang Zhong handed over the consultation fee. After the doctor accepted it, he cupped his hands and left. After listening to the doctor's words, Wang Zhong was almost certain that this infectious disease was a lung disease caused by influenza. After the doctor left, Wang Zhong quickly arranged for people to make preparations. Go to the market and buy 30 barrels of aged vinegar. Boil the vinegar and disinfect it in every room. Hurry up. Go to the pharmacy and buy indigo roots. Grind the indigo roots and boil them into soup. Everyone must drink 3 bowls in the morning, afternoon, and night. Those who are coughing, have a headache, and have hot feet, arrange for them to rest in the side room. Don't come out. Arrange for a cloth shop to make a square cloth like mine. Everyone wear it on their nose and mouth. Remember, this is called a mask. Other than eating, no one is allowed to take it off. Due to the limited conditions in ancient times, Wang Zhong could only use the most primitive methods in modern society to resist influenza. First, he used vinegar to disinfect. This was very common in modern society. Whenever a large-scale epidemic occurred, public places would be filled with the smell of vinegar. Of course, with the development of society, disinfectant was gradually used. Next was indigo roots. The so-called indigo roots were actually Isatis root. In ancient times, most people thought Isatis root was used to clear heat and detoxify. In fact, it also had the effect of preventing colds and relieving swallowing. The servants started to carry out Wang Zhong's orders in an orderly manner. Although these people did not understand Wang Zhong's intentions, they did not dare to disobey Wang Zhong's orders, as the old master held great authority in their hearts. 7 days later, the influenza broke out. The streets were filled with people coughing. Many people who were originally weak coughed up blood and finally died from coughing. For a time, the people in the city were in a state of panic. Everyone said that there was an epidemic here. Many people were so frightened that they left the city overnight. However, what surprised everyone was that in the Sun residence, other than a few people who fell sick at the beginning, everyone else was in good health. This was all thanks to Wang Zhong's early prevention and treatment. After confirming that his method was effective, Wang Zhong bought a large amount of vinegar and indigo roots and distributed them to every family in the county to teach them how to resist influenza. At first, no one believed it. However, as more and more people gradually recovered and the number of people who fell sick stopped increasing, everyone believed it. From then on, in the eyes of others, Wang Zhong went from a master, Wang, who knew how to do business, and was a great hero, to a master, Wang, who was charitable and treated people. Now, his reputation was even higher than that of Counselor Sun, who had left long ago. Many people would affectionately call Wang Zhong Squire Wang when they saw him. A year later, Chun Yu's mother had become mentally retarded. Thus, for the past few days, Wang Zhong had been by her side. "Squire Wang, have you seen my son?" "My husband is Wang Quankai. He is a Xiozai. He was injured by a thief in the Sun family. I am going to see him now, but my son is missing on the hospital bed." Chun Yu held onto Wang Zhong's hand and cried. Wang Zhong sighed inwardly. He knew that his mother was thinking about the day he purposely disappeared. "Mother, your son is here. You are Erping." Chun Yu smiled foolishly. "My Erping has finally grown up. It's a pity that your father died early. Erping, in the future, you must be well." That night, Chun Yu passed away. She passed away peacefully. Wang Zhong buried Chun Yu. Although he knew in his heart that this was all a game, and his purpose in playing the game was to obtain experience points in exchange for life essence fluid, he still felt that it was a game. But after a long time, people still had feelings, especially his mother in the game. Spring passed and autumn came. Another year passed. Under Sun Susu's insistence, Wang Zhong took in a concubine. Sun Susu said that she hoped that her husband would have someone to serve him well. The concubine was a little girl from the countryside called Yu. She was 15 years old, but her father had a gambling debt, so Yu was dragged away by a group of bandits to pay off the debt. Sun Susu happened to see her on the street and paid some money to redeem her. A year later, Yu gave birth to a clever girl. Yu was very sensible. Apart from serving Wang Zhong, she also listened to Sun Susu and called her elder sister. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, Wang Zhong and Sun Susu were already 52 years old. Wang Zhong's health was deteriorating day by day. In the end, he was still bedridden and unable to get out of bed. Now, the matters of the Sun family were basically handed over to his son, Sun Wenlong. Although this child liked to dance and play with sticks when he was young, after becoming an official, he became much more restrained. He learned a lot from Wang Zhong. "Susu, I'm afraid I can't make it. After I leave, you have to take good care of yourself," Wang Zhong said weakly. He turned his head to look at Yu, who was kneeling by the bed and crying. You are a good girl. It's a pity that you followed me." Sob, sob, sob. "Master, I was willing. If it wasn't for you, I would have been sold by my father." Chapter 17. As Yu cried, She held Wang Zhong's cold hand and said, "Master, you'll be fine. You'll definitely live to 100 years old." Sigh. Wang Zhong sighed and scanned the room. In the room, there were only his two wives, Yu and Xiuxiu, as well as his son, Wang Duo, and Yu's daughter, Wang Qiao. Finally, there was his brother-in-law, Sun Jitian. Sun Jitian was indeed a strong man. He was older than Wang Zhong, but his condition was still very good. However, when he saw that Wang Zhong was about to die, his expression did not look too good. "Father, I've already sent someone to the capital to invite the best doctor over. Your illness will definitely be cured." Sun Wenlong sobbed as he shouted, "Wenlong, I know you're filial. However, when you reach my age, you'll understand that I'm almost there. Take good care of yourself in the future. Don't do anything stupid. The gun blueprint that I taught you is the most important thing in our family. Do you understand?" "I understand. Wang Duo, you're already married. Don't throw a tantrum in the future. Take good care of your husband and children. However, if your husband's family bullies you, don't swallow your anger. Our Sun family can still help you." "I understand." Wang Duo cried. The youngest Wang Qiao was only in her teens, but she was already sensible. She leaned against Yu and cried, "Qiao, when you get married in the future, you have to keep your eyes open. Remember, don't get married far away. What if you get bullied?" Wang Zhong warned. "I know, father." "Sob. I'll listen to you," Qiao cried. After giving out enough advice, Wang Zhong waved his hand. "Brother-in-law, Xiuxiu, stay here. The rest of you, leave." After the children left, Wang Zhong said weakly, "Brother-in-law." "Hey." Sun Jitian hurriedly walked over. As a big man, bean-sized tears also fell down. "This is the first time I've seen you cry. Back then, you broke an arm, but you still smiled." Wang Zhong sighed. I, Sun Jitian, only admire my father in my life. You are the second person I admire. If it weren't for you, our Sun family wouldn't have developed to this point. Don't die before me." Sun Jitian wept bitterly. Even his snot was flowing out. Wang Zhong sighed. "This is fate. You'll have to worry more in the future." Don't worry, Baba. You're not dead yet. I can't worry about family matters." Sun Jitian cried and hurriedly shouted. Wang Zhong shook his head and looked at Sun Susu. Stroking Sun Susu's dry white hair, Wang Zhong couldn't help but think of the scene when he first met Sun Susu. "Ha ha ha, my husband can pretend to be a rooster. Hurry up and pretend to be a rooster crowing for me. Just like this, quack, quack, quack. That's a duck. I know you're a duck, so I want you to pretend to be a rooster. You can also pretend to be a pig." The two of them chased each other. Although Wang Zhong didn't like Sun Susu at first, after a long time, he had feelings for her. "Master, do you still remember when we first met? When you met me, you said to me that life is full of ups and downs. At that time, I thought you were a bookworm who only knew how to talk big. When I knew that father wanted you to marry me, I was ready to run away from home. It wasn't until my parents persuaded me many times that I agreed. At that time, I was very sad. I thought you weren't good. But after that, my view of you changed as Sun Susu spoke, Sun Jitian and you are quietly left, leaving only Wang Zhong and Sun Susu. Is that so? At that time, you even asked me to pretend to be a pig. I always thought you were an unreasonable and spoiled girl." "Yes, I was indeed spoiled. I was spoiled by you. Master, can you smile? I remember that you only smiled on the day I gave birth to our son and daughter." Wang Zhong was stunned. He didn't smile much? "Do you not like me? Do you not like to be a son-in-law? Is that why you don't like to smile?" "I'm sorry, Master." Sun Susu spoke incoherently. She knew that Wang Zhong was dying. "You are my wife. If I don't like you, who would I like?" Wang Zhong stroked Sun Susu's hair and smiled. But his smile gradually stiffened. The hand stroking Sun Susu's white hair slowly fell. Wang Zhong was gone. Master, don't leave us." Squire Wang left. Everyone in the Sun family's mansion burst into tears. Mission character. Scholar Wang mission objective. Let my wife see how powerful I am and admire me. Completed. Lifespan, 52 partner, 2. Although you don't have many partners, they are sincere to you. Offspring. 3. Your offspring are all very outstanding under your education. Achievement evaluation. Your wife Sun Susu not only fell in love with you, but she also admired you because you successfully turned the Sun family, which was on the verge of collapse, into a famous family. You are her idol. Reward. 6,043 experience points. Planet Yellow Earth. In the ward of the federal prison. Opening his eyes and looking at the familiar surroundings, Wang Zhong felt as if a lifetime had passed. His wife and children seemed to be real and vivid in his mind. At this time, a mechanical voice sounded in his mind. In order to avoid confusion due to the player's mixed memories, start saving the memory. If you want to recall, just read the memory. Wang Zhong's heart skipped a beat. The originally complicated memories in his mind suddenly seemed to be locked up by someone. However, this method of confinement was not locked. There were still memories of everyone in his mind. It was just that these memories were not so fresh in his mind. With a thought, he found that if he wanted to remember someone, the memories would suddenly surge out. This feeling was like the memory was a document and the brain was a computer. The document was only temporarily stored on the computer, but the general content of the document could still be seen on the desktop. What a magical technology! But fortunately, I can save the memory, so I won't be trapped. Wang Zhong also learned a simple psychology lesson. He knew that being immersed in a memory had a great impact on people. The system's function successfully restored him to normal. He looked at the time. It was still the time when he left. Beep. The cell door suddenly opened. Prisoner, it's time to eat. The nurse who came in the morning looked at Wang Zhong worriedly. Chapter 18. Even Wang Zhong himself didn't expect that his life in prison would be so comfortable. Not only were there people to treat him, but there were also people to serve him. As he ate the pork rib soup the nurse fed him, Wang Zhong pondered. The experience he gained from completing the game this time was less than last time. He had already guessed this when he started the game. After all, he was a eunuch in the Great Dragon Dynasty. Step by step, he grasped all the power in the Great Dragon Dynasty in his hands. Of all the officials in the court, who dared to say no? Later, with his help, the Great Dragon Dynasty became one of the top empires in the country. He also became the prime minister, who was second only to one person and above tens of thousands of people. He was respected by all. However, in this game, he was just an ordinary government official. Whether it was his status or his wealth, it couldn't compare to the Great Dragon Dynasty. Therefore, the experience he gained wasn't much. A bottle of potion of life required 10,000 experience points. Including the experience he had from before, he only had 7,273 experience points. It was far from enough to exchange for another bottle of potion of life. After feeding him, the nurse stood up and took a step back in fear. In a few days, I won't be the one to come back to work. You should rest well. Just as the nurse was about to leave, Wang Zhong called out to her. Wait, is there anything else? The nurse's eyes widened. Due to fear, her expression was slightly trembling. Why would I call you if there's nothing else? Wang Zhong looked at her coldly. You're quitting in a few days? Yes. The nurse hurriedly nodded. She couldn't wait to leave. Don't be afraid. You've taken care of me for so long, so I'm just asking. Yes, it's not that I'm quitting. It's just that I'm changing shifts. Someone else will take over. Got it. Wang Zhong closed his eyes. Do you want to go out and get some sun? Sure, Wang Zhong said concisely. But before you go, please help me pee. I got it. In modern society, although the rate of solving cases was increasing, the strange thing was that the crime rate was also increasing. At the same time, the laws against criminals were becoming more lax. For example, the death penalty, whipping, and many other cruel punishments in ancient times had been abolished. To a certain extent, this was one of the reasons for the high crime rate. In Wang Zhong's words, if he was the one who made the rules, it was actually very simple. If someone did evil for the sake of evil, they must be severely punished. No matter how cruel the punishment, they should be used. As for those who were impulsive or were forced into a corner, modern society's laws could be applied. Unfortunately, if this was the case, there would definitely be people who would jump out to express their opposition. What human rights? What human rights? What human rights? Criminals are also humans. How could this be? This would not be good for the criminals' psychology. Society was actually regressing. They protected the criminals, but they indulged in the crimes and hurt the victims. Of course, such a system was beneficial to Wang Zhong. Otherwise, he would have been executed by a humanitarian cannon after taking his revenge. The dazzling sunlight shone on them, making them feel as warm and happy as if they were being hugged by a big brother next door. Girls' imagination only. As the prison was extremely large, the prison guards had to push the wheelchair for over 10 minutes before they finally managed to push Wang Zhong outside. Wang Zhong sat leisurely on the disabled wheelchair, watching the serious criminals fight in the distance. The prisoners in this prison were all very dangerous. It could be seen that, other than the area around the basketball court, there were not many prisoners in his area. The prisoners in this area were basically brought out alone. They dragged iron chains around their feet and wore black metal masks over their mouths. This was to prevent the prisoners from suddenly fighting and biting others in agitation. Don't be surprised why the prisoners did this. In fact, in the area where Wang Zhong was locked up, there were many people who did this. For example, the prisoner who was staring at him now, the Ripper, Marco, liked to bite people. Before he was locked up, he sharpened his teeth. It was said that it was more convenient for him to bite people. However, Wang Zhong scoffed. This was purely pretentious. He was sure that if his teeth were like this, it would be easy for him to bite his tongue and cause mouth ulcers. Once the prisoners in this area were brought to the square, they would be chained to the big iron balls on the ground by the prison guards. These big iron balls were fixed to the ground. So even if these serious criminals didn't like each other, no one could do anything to each other. As for the other area, it was the ordinary prisoner area. Most of the prisoners there were gangsters, ordinary murderers, or economic criminals. Therefore, those people still enjoyed the freedom to play basketball. When they were released, they could walk around and sometimes do some work. Wang Zhong, is this place suitable? The prison guard straightened Wang Zhong, but didn't chain his feet. After all, everyone knew that Wang Zhong was now paralyzed, so there was no need to do that. Yes. Wang Zhong stared expressionlessly at Marco, who was also staring at him. The prison guard had long been used to Wang Zhong's poker face. After nodding, he shouted to the people inside, "Be smart and don't play tricks. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." The prison guard threatened and then walked out of the steel wire gate. "Wang Zhong, how have you been?" Marco licked his lips and stared at Wang Zhong. "Thanks to you, I'm getting better and better. I think it won't be long before I can stand up. Haha, interesting. Marco laughed, revealing his sharp teeth. "I'm more and more interested in your taste now. Cold face, doctor. I really don't know if you'll still be like this when I eat you, expressionless. I also want to study why your stomach functions so well. You didn't get sick after eating so much raw meat." "Are you praising me?" Marco pointed at himself. "Heh, I'm praising your stomach." Although Wang Zhong didn't like this guy with such a strong stomach, he had no choice. There were only a few people he usually chatted with. Clang. The big iron gate opened again with a loud sound. A few prisoners walked in, and 2 of them were women. That's right, because this place was a special prison. Men and women were mixed. However, the female prisoners were escorted by the female prison guards. These 2 women were also familiar faces here. Their crimes were very serious. After all, the people locked in this area were all convicted of murder. In here, if you didn't have more than 20 lives in your hands, you would be embarrassed to greet them. This was the prison's chain of contempt. Chapter 19. Following this, Wang Zhong silently trained the strength of his right arm, trying to find the feeling he had in the past. 3 days passed in a row, and Wang Zhong's time was very fulfilling. He discovered that as he trained his right hand, he could now raise his right shoulder, which he hadn't been able to feel before. This meant that his training was effective. In the long run, he might be able to recover without playing games. However, without a doubt, this would take a long time, and Wang Zhong could not wait. After all, this world was quite complicated. On the 4th day, just as he woke up, a system notification appeared in his head. Ding! Successfully unlocked a new character. Farmer Wang Dayong's son, Wang Xiaoyu. Quest objective: I don't want to be looked down upon by others. I don't want to live a poor life where I can't even get a wife. I want to be rich. I want to bring my mother to a good life. Rich, huh? Wang Zhong thought to himself. The previous game had taught him that as long as he managed it well, he would be able to get by. However, if he wanted to be rich, it would be difficult if he did not have connections, capital, and resources. This was just like in the modern world. In the modern world, because of the shortcut of going to university, countless poor children had the hope of climbing up the ladder. However, in the ancient world, although there were imperial examinations, how many people could afford to go to school, or even have the time to go to school? In the ancient world, productivity was low, and there was a severe lack of manpower. If one's family was poor, they would start to help their family with farm work after the age of 12 or 13. Wanting to go to school was very difficult, not to mention the imperial examinations. Just traveling expenses alone would take up half a year of a normal family's income. As such, if he wanted to be rich, he really had to use his brain. At this moment, Wang Zhong really wished that he had a computer or a book that he could read. This way, he would be able to understand some basic modern knowledge and perform better in the game. However, it was a pity that his current state wasn't easy to deal with. After who knew how long, the system interface suddenly appeared in front of him. Loading game reborn character. Farmer Wang Dayong's son, Wang Xiaoyu. Character profile: Wang Xiaoyu. Born in Chinzhou's cowhouse village, Wang Dayong's family. She experienced setbacks since she was young and was brought up by her mother. Her family was poor, and her wish was to be rich. However, things did not go as she wished. Until the day she died, her family was still poor. Mission objective: I don't want to be looked down upon by others. I don't want to live a poor life where I don't have enough to eat, don't have enough to wear, and can't even find a wife. I want to be rich, and I want to bring my mother to live a good life. Heartwarming tip: the longer your character lives, the more experience you will lose if you die unnaturally. No wonder the first time I died, I only lost 500 experience. Later, when I was killed by Big Ma, I lost 1,000 experience. So that's why. Wang Zhong understood in his heart, but when he looked at the character's resume, he felt a little strange. Since he was the son of Farmer Wang Dayong, why was he raised by his mother? What was his father doing from the beginning to the end? An ominous premonition arose. Ah, my stomach, I'm going to give birth. Dayong, I feel like I'm going to give birth. Wake up, call the midwife. Ah, it hurts so much. Just when Wang Zhong felt that he was wrapped in a layer of water, he heard a woman's heart-wrenching cry. Dayong, wake up. Dayong, why are you drunk again? Woo-woo, Wang Zhong didn't dare to move at all. He was afraid that it would be like the last time. Because of his large movements, his mother would die from dystocia. That would be a sin. Following that, Wang Zhong only felt that the world was spinning. The originally warm feeling was gone, and in its place was a bone-chilling cold. Cold, it was so cold. Was he born? Wang Zhong wanted to open his eyes, but he couldn't. Feeling his weak limbs, he immediately understood that he was probably born prematurely. Child, my child, don't be afraid. Although your father drank too much, I'm here. Wang Zhong only felt that he was being carried into a bed that wasn't warm. He began to drink breast milk, but there was very little breast milk. He only drank for a short while before it was all gone. Wang Zhong fell asleep easily when he was young. He didn't know how much time had passed before he heard the heart-wrenching cries of a woman. De Yong, there's no more rice in the house. I'm also out of milk. Go and buy some rice. Wang Zhong nodded. Where do we get the money at home? Why don't you borrow some from the neighbors? A rough voice said. Can't you go to the fields to get some vegetables? I planted so much at the beginning of the year. It's all gone. What? So many cabbages? So many vegetables? That. Didn't I owe them money? They took all of it a few days ago. You son of a bitch. We're going to starve to death because of you. Don't worry. I'll go out and borrow some more. Then I'll go to the gambling den in the county. Maybe I can win some money and buy you some chicken stew. That. I'll go first. Daong. No one responded. There was only the sound of the old door slamming shut. Sob. My poor child. You're going to suffer with me. Not long after, Wang Zhong felt the woman get up with difficulty. After a long time, Wang Zhong heard the sound of the woman eating. Xiaohong, you're home. A woman's voice sounded. You gave birth. You just gave birth. Why are you out already? Where's the father? Auntie son, Daong. Sob. He went out to gamble again. This guy. No wonder I saw someone pluck all the vegetables from your fields a few days ago. Was it done by the people he owed money to? Yes. Sai, what should we do? Aya, why are you eating rats? I have no choice. I'm out of milk. I can only cook some rat soup. This is too dirty. I'll go make some fish soup for you. My husband went fishing last night. I'll get some for you immediately. What the F***ck? His family situation was too miserable. Wang Zhong finally knew why his family was so poor. It turned out that his father was a gambling addict and an alcoholic. Chapter 20. Although the neighbor brought the fish soup, his mother, Little Red, did not throw away the rat soup. The family was poor, and no matter how disgusting the rat soup was, it was still food. It was better than starving to death. Little Red, this child is so small. Wang Zhong felt that he was being hugged, but the way the person was hugging him made him very uncomfortable. He was born 2 months premature, so he is a bit small, Little Red said weakly as she drank another mouthful of soup. So it's like that. Premature, babies won't have any defects, right? Hearing this, Wang Zhong's heart tightened. He couldn't be that unlucky. He quickly moved his hands and feet. Luckily, his hands and feet were fine. His mind was very clear, and he was definitely not suffering from cerebral palsy. Look at my broken mouth. This child doesn't cry or make a fuss. Other than being a bit small, everything else is normal. This child will be very lucky in the future. Auntie Sun shook Wang Zhong and touched his nose. She smiled and said, "What name are you going to give him?" His first meal was fish soup. Let's call him Wang Zhong Fish. Zhang Xiaohua touched Wang Zhong's tender forehead and said. From then on, a skinny little boy appeared in the peaceful little mountain village. His name was Wang Xiaoyu. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. For the past 3 years, Wang Zhong himself didn't know how he had survived, especially during the first year. As his mother didn't have any milk, he had completely relied on rat meat soup and the fish soup and rice porridge provided by his neighbors to survive. In the second year, his mother, Little Red, planted some vegetables and carried Wang Zhong on her back. She began to cut grass and cut wood for the villagers. She did not ask for money. She only asked for 2 bowls of rice. Some people pitied her and gave her a few copper coins. The rice she asked for was cooked into rice porridge. She put some wild vegetables in the porridge. Just like that, she raised Wang Zhong. In the third year, Wang Zhong stood up shakily. However, he found that his legs were very weak, and he could not walk steadily. This was because he was not only born prematurely, but he was also malnourished. He looked like a bag of bones, which was why he was so weak. During this time, Wang Zhong also learned about the people and things around him. Her mother's name was Zhang Xiaong. Her parents died when she was 10 years old. From then on, she relied on herself for everything. When she was 18, she was introduced to Wang Daong from a village. In the beginning, Wang Daong was not bad. He worked diligently in the fields and often went hunting in the mountains. However, after he was brought to a gambling den in the county, he changed completely. Not only was he idling around every day, he was also addicted to alcohol. When he drank too much, he would borrow money to gamble in the county. If he lost, he would get into debt, and he would shout every day that he would recover his losses one day. In the past few years, everything that could be sold had been sold. Even the farming tools had been sold. It could be said that in this house, other than a shell and a bed, there was only a pile of empty wine bottles left. Although his mother, Zhang Xiaohong, had quarreled with Wang Deong before, how could a weak woman like her win against the strong and sturdy Wang Deong? Whenever she provoked Wang Deong, he would directly use his fists and kicks. There was once when she was beaten to the point of vomiting blood. Even Wang Zhong was venting his anger and was sent flying a few times. If this body was not better than Wang Erping's in his previous life, he would have been kicked to death. After a few times, Zhang Xiaohong was afraid of Wang Deong and did not dare to say anything. Wang Deong had an older brother and an older sister, but these two were not very friendly to his family. The reason was that the land that was given to them by their ancestors was not divided properly. Small farmers were very strict and often had conflicts. Just yesterday, Wang Zhong was tied to Zhang Xiaohong's back. When Zhang Xiaohong went to farm, her uncle and aunt rushed over with their son and daughter, saying that they were occupying their land. Zhang Xiaohong was a weak woman. How could she be a match for these people? In the end, she was not only white, but she was also slapped in front of everyone. The right side of her face was swollen. This life is too difficult. That night, Wang Zhong sat in front of his house, looking at the ants on the ground. His expression was ugly. His father was a good-for-nothing, and his relatives were not kind people. His mother worked hard day and night, but could only barely prevent them from starving to death. He was still growing. Without a strong body in the future, it would be difficult for him to take advantage of all kinds of conflicts. Besides his mother, the best person would be their neighbor. Auntie Sunday Wang Zhong remembered very clearly that if not for Auntie Sun helping him and his mother 2 years ago, they would have starved to death. Unfortunately, he was only 3 years old. Not to mention helping, he would be lucky if he could walk without falling. Wang Zhong was thinking about it when he saw a figure stumbling over from afar. He would recognize this figure even if it turned into ashes. It was his good-for-nothing father, Wang Deong. As usual, Wang Deong walked over drunk with a bottle of wine in his hand. Looking at him like this, he definitely lost another bet. "Son, has your mother cooked?" Wang Deong burped and wanted to touch Wang Zhong's head. Wang Zhong took a step back and said with a frown, "We've already eaten." "TSK, why are you avoiding your father's touch? I love you. In the future, when I find a way to win money, I will let you eat red braised meat every day." Wang Deong said as he staggered into the house, Xiaohong, your husband is back. I don't know how to do things." Zhang Xiaohong covered her swollen face from yesterday's slap. "Let me ask you, where is the 20 copper coins I hid under the bed?" Wang Zhong knew that the 20 copper coins had been painstakingly accumulated by his mother when she was working for someone else. "Oh, that. I spent it, but I didn't spend it recklessly. I went gambling and won a lot." Wang Deong sat down and saw a bowl of porridge on the table. He didn't even look at it and drank it all. "Then where is the money you won?" Zhang Xiaohong hurriedly asked. "It's all Li Mao's fault. When I was about to leave, he dragged me to play for a while. In the end, I lost everything." Wang Deong smacked his lips. "Why are you eating so bland? I haven't eaten meat in a long time. You woman, you don't even know how to make some. I'm so unlucky to have married a jinx like you. I guess it's also your fault that I lose gambling every day." Chapter 21. How can you say that? You haven't bought anything for the family since the child was born. You even took my hard-earned money. Have you fed the child even once? Zhang Xiaohong said with red eyes. Wang Zhong also glared at Wang Deong. If his body wasn't so young, he would have thought of ways to kill Wang Deyong. I'm the one who earns big money. Do you still need me to pay for this small amount of money? What kind of wife are you? F***CK. Do you still have anything to eat? F***CK. I'm starving after gambling for a whole day. Wang Deyong cursed as he walked to the rice vat. Looking at the small bowl of rice left, he decisively put it into the water and started cooking. Deyong, I went to farm today. Your brother and sister came over and said that more than half of the land in the east belongs to them. I tried to reason with them, but they hit me. Can you go and talk to them? Zhang Xiaohua walked over and said. Wang Deyong didn't even turn his head. Why do you always quarrel with them? If you can't win, then don't quarrel with them. It's their fault. I've already finished farming, but they came over and said that the land belongs to them. You're the head of the family, so you should go. Slap. Before she could finish her sentence, Wang Deyong had already slapped her across the face, causing the other half of Zhang Xiaohong's face to turn red. Wang Zhong hurriedly ran over, wanting to help Zhang Xiaohong up. However, his body was too weak to support her. Instead, he was dragged to the ground. You're not allowed to hit Mom, Wang Zhong said angrily in his childish voice. Zhang Xiaohong also looked at Wang Deyong in disbelief. Her face was full of grievance. Why did they take our land? It's because you didn't do it well. Why are you so annoying? You caused us to lose half of our land. This is all your fault, Wang Deyong said angrily. He grabbed the bowl he just ate and smashed it on the ground. Clang. A perfectly good bowl was smashed into pieces. And this kid. Wang Deyong pointed at Wang Zhong and rushed over to grab Wang Zhong's hair. He scolded drunkenly. This is my son. Why does he look at me like I'm his enemy? I think this brat will be an unfilial son in the future. If we run out of money one day, we'll sell him. Yesterday, when I went to the county town, I saw the governor going to the countryside and taking in clever children as eunuchs. Give me back my son. In a moment of desperation, Zhang Xiaohong snatched Wang Zhong back. If you dare touch my son, I'll fight you to the death. As a mother, Zhang Xiaohong could endure the humiliation of not being able to eat enough, not being able to wear warm clothes, being bullied by her evil relatives, and being beaten by her worthless husband. However, if anyone dared to touch her son, she would fight to the death. Her son, Wang Xiaoyu, was her only reverse scale. After saying this, Zhang Xiaohong grabbed the broken pieces of the bowl on the ground and glared at Wang Deyong. Perhaps because he felt that Zhang Xiaohong was really going to fight to the death, Wang Deyong snorted and then started a fire to cook. That night, Zhang Xiaohong spread some hay on the ground and hugged Wang Zhong to sleep. There was no other way. After Wang Deyong got drunk, he went straight to the bed. The bed was too small and could not fit him. The next morning, Zhang Xiaohong carried Wang Zhong out to do farm work. Today, they were working for Auntie Sun's family. It was the autumn harvest, and this year's harvest was good. Auntie Sun's family's crops were growing well. Mother, I can walk by myself. Put me down. In order not to burden Zhang Xiaohong, Wang Zhong took the initiative to ask. This child is really sensible. Auntie Sun smiled and looked at her 5-year-old granddaughter. She shook her head and said, unlike my granddaughter, she has been spoiled. Auntie Sun had a son and a daughter. The son was more promising and opened a noodle shop in the county town with his wife. The daughter married a pig farmer in the village and lived a peaceful life. As her daughter was usually busy, Auntie Sun helped take care of her daughter. The girl's name was Guahiweluo. She was rather cute and followed Auntie Sun all day, running with a green foxtail. No, Yueluo is quite sensible. Zhang Xiaohong only smiled when talking to outsiders. She said to Wang Zhong, then play by the side. Be careful not to walk into the forest. There are wolves that eat children. Wang Zhong knew that his mother was worried that he would run around, so she deliberately scared him. Unfortunately, he was not scared. Instead, Guiweluo cried in fright. This child. Auntie Sun hugged Guiweluo and shook her head helplessly. Suddenly she shouted, Ouch, it hurts. What's wrong? Zhang Xiaohong rushed over and immediately saw a triangular snake biting Auntie Sun's leg. Venomous snake. Wang Zhong didn't know much about animals, but he knew that snakes with strange shapes were usually poisonous. This snake's triangular head was definitely not simple. Ouch, it's a venomous snake. Zhang Xiaohong saw that Auntie Sun's leg had already turned black from the bite. She grabbed a hoe and chased the venomous snake away. Auntie Sun, are you all right? Someone, there's a venomous snake. Auntie Sun has been bitten by a snake. Wang Zhong immediately ran to the village. Auntie Sun's husband, Ma Wu, was working in the fields by the side. When he heard this, he put down his hoe and shouted, "Son of the Wang family, what are you shouting for?" Auntie has been bitten by a venomous snake. Wang Zhong panted. 2 incense sticks later, the village doctor rushed to the fields without stopping. At this moment, Auntie Sun was already foaming at the mouth. She was on the brink of death. She was bitten by a triangular snake, Wang Zhong said to the doctor. An iron-headed venomous snake. The doctor turned anxious when he heard that. I'll go back to get the herbs. Quickly send her into the house. It's best if you force the venomous blood out. Quickly. Without another word, Ma Wu carried Auntie Sun and ran home. Wang Zhong and Zhang Xiaohong followed behind. After placing Auntie Sun on the bed, her face turned pale. Ma Wu tore the cloth on her leg and hurriedly squeezed out the blood, but he couldn't squeeze it out. Transportation was inconvenient in ancient times, so they waited for a long time, but the doctor didn't come. Boo-hoo. Grandma, what's wrong? Boo-hoo. Seeing her unconscious grandmother, Guiyueluo burst into tears. Don't cry, Yueluo. The doctor should be here soon, Wang Zhong comforted her. At this moment, he couldn't help much. This was because Ma Wu was already squeezing Auntie Sun's wound, trying to force the venomous blood out. However, Auntie Sun's condition was worsening. Finally, Wang Zhong saw the doctor run over with a medicine box from afar. But at this moment, he heard Ma Wu wail, Dear, wake up. Auntie Sun, his mother, Zhang Xiaohong, also knelt beside the bed with a plop and cried. Auntie Sun was gone. Chapter 22. Auntie Sun passed away. She did not die peacefully. Before she died, her eyes were wide open because of the pain. The doctor rushed into the house and quickly took her pulse. After a while, he sighed and shook his head. It's too late. It's too late. Grandma, sob, I want Grandma. Although Guiyueluo was young, she knew that when a person died, it meant that she would never see that person again. For a moment, the beautiful little girl burst into tears. 7 days later, Auntie Sun was officially buried. She was buried in the mountain behind their house. After Auntie Sun's death, Ma Wu, a grown man, could not take care of his granddaughter. Therefore, his daughter and son-in-law took him home. Not long after, Ma Wu moved to his daughter's house and helped them kill pigs and sell meat. Without help, Zhang Xiaohong and Wang Zhong's life became more difficult. Their father, Wang Daong, was the same as before. He gambled outside every day. When he ran out of money, he would steal. Wang Zhong had already developed a murderous intent towards Wang Daong. Unfortunately, he was too young. Even if he was given a kitchen knife to chop Wang Daong while he was asleep, he would not be able to do it. If he woke up, it would be troublesome. At the age of 4, Wang Zhong realized that he could finally move around freely. In order to fill his stomach, while Zhang Xiaohong was doing farm work, he would run to the bottom of the tree to dig for loaches. After that, he would look for tree worms in the tree holes. This type of worm was very fat and pure white. Although it looked disgusting, it was rich in protein. After frying it, the children in the village would cry. Of course, their family was too poor and couldn't afford to buy oil. Therefore, Wang Zhong planned to boil it with water. Xiaoyu, what are you doing? Zhang Xiaohong, who had just finished her farm work, was very curious to see Wang Zhong sitting on the ground for a long time. Mother, look. Wang Zhong struggled to lift the dustpan in his hands. It was full of worms and loaches. Aya, why are you playing with these worms? Zhang Xiaohong scolded as she snatched the worms from Wang Zhong's hands. These are food. We eat wild vegetables and tree roots every day. It's not nutritious, Wang Zhong argued. Zhang Xiaohong was originally going to reprimand him, but after hearing what Wang Zhong said, she couldn't help but feel sad. It was because they ate poorly, and her son even wanted to eat worms. She sighed and said, "But eating this will make your stomach hurt." "I promise I won't." "You child, how do you know?" "Because I have." Wang Zhong casually explained, "Last night, I was so hungry that I fainted. Later, I saw a worm crawling under the bed, so I ate it. I didn't expect it to satisfy my hunger. Mother, try it. I've already dug so much." "Bring him back." Zhang Xiaohong sighed. After Wang Zhong returned home, he took the initiative to boil water and prepare to cook the insect wild vegetable soup. Seeing Wang Zhong's busy appearance, Zhang Xiaohong could not help but feel warm in her heart. Although her husband was not a good thing, fortunately, the heavens gave her such a sensible son. While Wang Zhong was burning the fire, Zhang Xiaohong looked at the rice jar and saw that there was only a small handful of rice left. She sighed. It seemed that she would have to buy rice again tomorrow. Fortunately, she had saved 30 copper coins over the past few days, which was enough to buy a small bag of rice. After washing the rice, Zhang Xiaohong began to cook porridge as before. The porridge she cooked had a lot of water. This was because they would have to eat this small handful of rice for a day. If there was less water, the porridge would be finished quickly. At this time, a fragrance wafted from the house. She turned her head suspiciously and saw that Wang Zhong was cooking in the pot. It still smelled fragrant. "Mother, how is the soup?" Because Wang Zhong was short, he could not see the stove. "Okay." Zhang Xiaohong opened the lid of the pot and saw insects floating on the leaves of the wild vegetables. Because the insects had been boiled in water, their bodies were very fat. "Sprinkle some salt." Wang Zhong looked at the salt on the stove. Zhang Xiaohong had worked for a family for 3 days in exchange for this small handful of salt. Salt was very important to them. Usually, Zhang Xiaohong would only put in a little salt every 3 days, but today, her son had said that she could not bear to refuse. So she sprinkled a little salt and scooped out a little bit of soup. Wang Zhong took a sip. The taste was a little bland, but the taste of the insects was very delicious. It just looked a little disgusting. "Forget it, let's eat." Wang Zhong picked up a worm and bit into it, causing its juices to splatter all over the place. After chewing a few times, he swallowed the worm. Was it delicious? It was definitely not as delicious as fried food, but to them, it was better than porridge that was similar to water. Zhang Xiaohong had suffered a lot since she was young. She was not a pretentious person. Smelling that the smell was not bad, she also ate a worm. The taste was a little greasy and a little disgusting. Then she scooped a bowl of porridge and gave Wang Zhong a lot of rice. She only had some rice soup for herself. The rice grains floating on it could be counted with 2 hands. "Mom, there's too little rice in your bowl. You usually do heavy work. If you don't eat your fill, you will tire your body out," Wang Zhong said. "Mom is a woman. I eat very little to begin with, so I'm full after eating this. Besides, aren't there so many dishes? You, on the other hand, eat more. You are growing now. In the future, when you grow tall, your father won't dare hit you." Wang Zhong picked up his bowl and scooped some rice for Zhang Xiaohong. "Mom, eat. I'll think of a way to eat in the future." Zhang Xiaohong smiled in relief. She didn't think too much about it. She only thought that he said that out of filial piety. This meal was very full. The next day, Zhang Xiaohong realized that her stomach was not as hungry as before. She also had a lot more strength when working. And when Wang Zhong was playing in the field, he found a type of grass. "Isn't this grass?" Wang Zhong squatted down and plucked a leaf from the grass. He suddenly remembered that in ancient times, grass was considered a weed and could not be eaten. At that time, grass was used as fodder. Later on, there was a famine. Some people were so hungry that they ate grass. They accidentally discovered that the taste of grass was very good, especially the tender parts of the grass. If they were cooked into soup, it would taste very fragrant. There were many ways to cook grass. The most common way was to cook soup. Put an egg in the grass soup, and it tasted very fragrant. Or stir-fry grass and put some white wine in it. The name of the dish was wine-fragrant grass. It was a famous dish. There was a lot of grass here. It was densely packed, but basically no one touched it. This is good stuff. Wang Zhong decisively took a dustpan and began to pick the grass. You're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.